Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 3 of the Rewatch Podcast, presented by the Terrible Video Gamers Club. I'm your host, Tyler Schatz, the true DK. Joining me for this fine recording session are one, Stephen Howard.
Don't worry, guys. The winner of the podcast gets me.
Amanda Howard.
Who hopes nobody else delivers a sick burn to me, such as he's just playing gangster in his little storage room.
One, Nick Castillo.
I'm a boy with a terrible accent.
The Josh Cox.
Life's simple. You make podcasts and you don't look back.
And last but never ever least, one, Gary Delaney.
I started watching this movie with my wife in the room, and her exact words were, "Oh, it's this one. It's the one that doesn't match the other ones."
Because it's so much better. It's really just a cut above. It's wild.
Definitely
Yeah, I think
better
I got
than
about
two.
halfway before I was. Is anyone going to be in this thing? You guys didn't
So
tell me that.
That was going to be one of my questions here to start with. So just so the viewer or the listener knows, we are discussing our time spent watching The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, the third movie in release order in the Fast and the Furious franchise there.
That again is the Fast and the Furious grammatical context, not the Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift.
Yes,
Thank you.
It's not the colon of the Fast and the Furious franchise. It is...
Tokyo is the worst version of Neo Tokyo.
So I want to actually just get straight into that conversation there, Amanda. You kind of started touching on for basically Stephen and Amanda. How was it watching? Like, I mean, we'll get to the ending part of it, but like initially, like, how was it of like the original crew is not nobody from the original crew is in this movie?
So my first comment that I had on this movie, and this wasn't actually a comment, I was going to message the group this actually, was because like I said, I watched this in English class a long time ago. I don't remember much of it. There are bits and scenes. I apparently had no recollection of the beginning because I'm sitting here going, oh shit, Tyler uploaded the wrong movie on this file. We're watching this through one of Tyler's kind of mechanism things here, and he recently had an issue or lost a lot of files, and I'm like, he re-uploaded this one specifically so we could watch it. And I'm looking at it going, this has nothing to do with Tokyo. This is not what I remember. This is not the right song. Like, this is entirely incorrect. Tyler uploaded the wrong movie. And then it cuts to an engine, and I'm like, maybe he just uploaded like the wrong sequence. And I stuck with it, and I eventually, oh yeah, apparently this is Tokyo Drift.
Title card.
Oh my god, it took, but I there was a very strong chance of me messaging the group going, guys, we have an issue. We can't podcast tonight. I can't watch the movie. It's not on.
I got like the first third through before I was like, seriously, are we going to get any, like, I was so sure that one of those characters was in here, but this is the danger of assuming because I had no idea. And I think I got about halfway through before I demanded of Steven, like, seriously, like, are we really not going to see anybody? And Steven goes, how should I know? And I was like, you've seen it before. And he's like, in high school. Which apparently
I was very much trying not to spoil that, like, yes, there's no one in this fucking movie. Like,
I saw one person in the
my
last
flashback remembered, like, this
Right.
movie stars Sean, a guy never seen before and possibly never to be seen again. Because
After that performance.
right. I mean, technically there was one person in there, but considering it's the last 30 seconds, it's basically you can slightly crop the movie and they're gone. It doesn't count.
he was added as a favor, like, late in the process. Not even originally intended to be in the movie. This movie was a giant fucking cash grab. Like, Universal owned the rights to Fast and the Furious.
Compared to what? Compared to 2? Where they just were like, oh, fuck it. We don't care. Just send whoever. This guy from
They had
fucking 80s
some
who
of the,
last
like,
directed
they
the movie?
hired the
Fuck
same
it. Why not?
actors. Like, they just, like,
They hired one of the
hired,
same actors last
like,
time.
unknown actors and jammed them into a movie and used the same, like, oh, this is in the same universe. Like,
I feel like Tyler's trying to shine a light on like our perception for this, and Gary just comes in and throws gasoline on that little lighted match, saying this is an absolute cash grab dumpster fire.
So I mean, first of all movies are cash grabs. There, that's the point of a movie is to basically make money. Go ahead, Steven.
Especially this franchise to go down that rabbit hole as well.
Honestly,
But
They
go
didn't
ahead.
want to tell a story at all.
Well, no, okay. So coming in from never having seen the first or the second one, this one fits perfectly because it's incongruous. There is no storyline. Like, I'm not expecting a storyline at this point. You have 3 individual movies which don't match each other. Yeah, this fits perfectly.
That's what I'm
All take
basically
place on
assuming at this
planet
point.
Earth.
Like, I keep readjusting my expectations for the next couple movies because I'm like, I know some of these people come back. Is this like we get one other movie with some of these people and these are just all standalone movies? I don't know. I'm starting to reset my expectations to no expectations at the start of each movie.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go from there. It makes it easier to deal with the movie. That being said, I did enjoy the movie.
I
Well-
did enjoy the movie too.
It took a little bit to get in there because I did say, "Are you fucking kidding me?" several times in the beginning.
Why?
There's
For what?
There was
for
at least
what
3
reason?
times.
there's a few things in the beginning part that are like, really?
No.
Yeah, there was several things. Because Steven's like, "Are you gonna take notes?" And I was like, "Why? All it's gonna say is, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking me?" Like, seriously.
So the touchdown
Did anyone
here,
take good notes for this movie? Like,
I
even
think I
I
did.
didn't take good. Okay.
I mean, I
I
take
had
notes
more
for
notes
these.
from the first like half an hour than I did in like the last 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
You
Those
that's
are
know-
my
kinda-
best notes of the series so far.
When I first started taking notes for us podcasting, my notes were much more like bullet pointed and like would point out specific things. Now it's much more the random thoughts I had at this like not necessarily any context in it. It'll just say like she's racing too. Wow, walk away from bullying. Why don't you? Like it's literally just whatever random thought with no context. So if I don't remember what it's from, so be it.
There's no plots. There's no scheming. There's really no conspiracies. Just
There are
Like-
conspiracies.
I did
have a
write-
conspiracy. We haven't gotten there yet.
okay.
oh,
Sorry. We do,
Uh,
yeah.
Nick?
I have one in my notes too.
Oh, jeez.
So to just quickly get back to the way we start the podcast off. So the tagline from IMDb for this movie is a teenager becomes a major competitor in the world of drift racing after moving in with his father in Tokyo to avoid a jail sentence in America. And then this movie was directed by one Justin Lin. I'll get over to his credits here shortly, but just to kind of give everyone another perspective on this movie, estimated at an $85 million budget. Opening weekend in the US and Canada was 23 million, almost 24 million. But the gross for the US and Canada total was 62 million. So it didn't quite make its money back here in the US and Canada. But worldwide gross, 159 million basically. So
Is that's the most expensive one yet, right?
this is the most expensive one yet for sure.
I,
But,
I'd say I want to say it's because of how they drove the cars.
Honestly, I feel like throughout the movie, I think this has the best race scenes, like the cinematography around it. Like it's the best. There's so many scenes of like actual looks like fast real driving, where every other time it felt like, oh, here's them driving 30 miles an hour down a city street, sped up 4 times, so it looks really fast.
Yep.
It didn't
Yep.
feel like there was nearly as much of that this time.
So just for reference here too, I'm going to go back here and now throw it over to you, Nick. Here, Justin Lin, the director of this movie, has actually directed multiple Fast and the Furious movies after this one. He comes back for 4, 5, 6, and I think he was a big part in 7 there too. But I think it was scheduling conflicts that happened for that one. But other than that, like looking at his credits there and stuff, Annapolis is one that sticks out to me that came before this, which I've never seen that movie. Other than that, I don't know too much about Justin Lin before the Fast and the Furious things. But go ahead now, Nick.
I'm just gonna comment. I did have a note at the very end about the driving too. I don't remember in the other movies if they specifically had a blurb about do not try and recreate these
Yeah, I
stunts
saw
as
that.
professional drivers. But at the end, like not like credits had concluded, but like a definite like full text bar that popped up that was like these are professional drivers on closed circuit courses, yada yada. Do not try and recreate these stunts; are very dangerous. So yeah, the
It's-
driving.
I'm
was more
pretty sure it's
realistic.
existed in every movie. Every movie has it.
Amanda called it the fuck around and find out disclaimer.
Also accurate.
No. I said, oh, it's the play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
There you go.
Disclaimer. But basically the same thing, yeah.
Well, that all said, I did want to start off in the beginning because like I said, I took a lot of notes. And so starting off hot in the beginning, we start off in apparently actually a high school. We've actually gotten to the point where Nick was right, and we're looking at high school kids. And
Are we though?
What is portrayed as
Yeah.
being high school kids.
They are definitely.
Mm.
And it looks like they're coming out of a 10 Things I Hate About You high school and having all that pep rally thing and all what going on. And then you have the jock scene and the fight and the girl and all that. And the one note that I took right leading up before the race though is that kid throws the baseball at the car and the baseball rolls off, onto the street after breaking the guy's window, and then it shows the window and the baseball obviously went through the window. I just looked at it and went, how did that happen? So that was my first note.
Oh.
You can go ahead, Gary.
I was gonna say, in the intro montage, also the jock boys are beating up a opposing mascot. This is very much
Culturally inappropriate.
Culturally inappropriate effigy to be beating like a piñata.
Yes.
Yep. My note says, and that's the reason why we don't appropriate Native American mascots.
Yeah. I had that note on the mascot as well. Also, the jocks all have signage that says duck football. And did you notice the mascot jumping around as a black and white penguin?
Did not.
That one stuck out like a sore thumb because it's right in the foreground of like a penguin walking. But maybe it's just like somebody dressed as a penguin, but it happened to
I
right
think it's
at the
supposed
same
to be
time.
maybe it's supposed
It
to be a duck,
showed
but-
everything said duck penguin, so I was like, that what? So I wrote that down. That seemed really odd. Had the mascot as well, yeah. Also, yeah, the main jock is Zachary Ty Bryan from Improvement. I thought was pretty good. Since it shows him driving, and unfortunately in real life he has some questionable DUIs in his history.
Multiple.
Don't do this at home.
Yes.
Exactly.
One
Win
thing
stupid
too
prizes.
about the opening montage too is kind of you get a little bit of character building there of the character we come to learn. His name is Sean. Basically, he's walking through and when he's real excited to be in shop class and everything like that, but then he sees like a bunch of these dumb idiot bullies grab a kid and haul him into the paint booth and start spray painting on him and stuff, but he does nothing about it. So it's kind of it's a small character little building bit right there for sure.
I feel like it's supposed to be a character building, and it's honestly a rug pull. You're like, oh, he's gonna be like, he's gonna help. Nope, I don't want anything. I don't need to do anything with this. Like, I'm good.
I think it's trying to just show that he's disassociated from everything around him. He doesn't really care about everything around him. And that's obviously a plot point moving forward.
Didn't he also grab like a wrench or something? Like he walked back there, and then when he walked back
Working
away, he put
with
it.
a wrench and walked over
Okay.
to see what was happening. So he was already carrying the wrench.
Gotcha. I thought for a second when I wrote that down too that yeah he was gonna try and step in, but then he just like shrugged off like kid deserves it or something weird.
Also, I think he carries a wrench in his car.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yep.
Man just
The same
has
wrench.
random wrenches. Yeah, I was ridiculously annoyed when I was watching this part, and I know we were still building the character, but I was just like, the first third of the movie, I was just like, this guy's a freaking moron.
Especially like the wrench thing. I think to me it feels like allusions to the Dom story, where you just keep thinking like, oh, he's going to be the hothead who's going to go and just smash this guy's face in because he has the wrench. Whenever he sees the guy getting painted, then that one that he carries in his car, he comes out of his car to fight the guy who threw the baseball to fight Brad, and so he has another wrench there at that point too. Just always carrying wrenches, always about to be in fights, but never.
Also, a very big wrench. Like, I don't know a lot, but like that's a big bolt that you need that kind of wrench for. Like, that's not. That's like something you need to take off the tires on your car.
And I do want to call out. I've wrote down a few quotes throughout this movie, but like after he steps out of his car, he says, no, he says this to the gal there who he's flirting with in the parking lot there. It's not the ride, it's the rider, as far as how the cars go and stuff. So it's just like, oh,
He
bad
also,
quotes.
and he also drops the nice line, "I only race for pink slips." Look at his car. Look at the state he's in. Has he ever won? Apparently, if you just win once, buddy, you're probably in a much better situation. So I don't think he's ever won.
It's called a
He
sleeper.
keeps losing. That's why he moves to a new place. Yeah.
No, it's called a sleeper car, Steven. It's something that you don't think is very powerful and stuff, but really, she'll blow the doors off your vehicle.
Okay, but point. If he had a sleeper car, he would also have a second car because he would have won at some point in life with that pink slip. So
Do
I did-
any of us believe Sean as a high school student at this point?
I was
25-year-old? No.
it was all I could see. I was like, this guy, I'm sorry, I can't focus because this guy is so clearly not in high school. There were people around him that were believable, but I was like, look at this guy.
I had later on in the movie that there were some other age gaps that don't really make sense. So maybe I just bought into him being in high school because later on you have to buy into a lot of other people being in high school. Steven, give me the finger.
no. I actually did find it a little bit more believable, but that's also because, and I came upon this conclusion a little bit later, this guy's also the guy who plays in Friday Night Lights, the movie.
Mhm.
And so I had watched Friday Night Lights, and I know Friday Night Lights pretty well. And so I saw him, and I immediately think, oh, this guy's like a quarterback for blah, 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 blah high school. And so it kind of fits for me, which leads me to conspiracy theory number 1. This is actually an alternate universe where this kid never actually got into high school football and therefore turns into a hot rod racer instead of a hot rod quarterback for a team that's going to go and play and blah, blah, blah and lose in the Texas State Championship.
Okay.
I was just going to chime in. Specifically, there's a throwaway line. I'm jumping to after the race. We can go back to the race. That's fine. But after the race, the person talking to him, being investigated, says, all before your 18th birthday. So specifically, he is not just high school. He is supposed to be a 17-year-old guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's also mentioned earlier, a lot later as well, when he's in a club and they say, "Careful, girls, this one's not legal yet." And so it's referenced a couple times.
I'm pretty sure the legal age of consent in Japan's probably not 17.
Ooh,
Mhm.
yeah. Ooh.
It bothered me a lot. I ended up looking it up. And the actor, because I was convinced he had to be in like his very late 20s, maybe even early 30s. No, the actor was 23, which is definitely not high school, but it wasn't near as bad as I thought it was because it was driving me insane.
I believe little Bow Wow looks older than he does.
How old is little Bow Wow?
He looked pretty young.
No,
to be
wait,
honest.
I don't care.
And then kind of jumping a little bit forward to the before the start of the race, Nick, you
real
and I.
quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want to say before they get into the race, I loved the line and especially loved it so much more because Amanda hated it,
Oh,
which was "Winner gets me."
Yep.
Yeah.
And
We're talking about the
Amanda
same thing.
flips her shit when this line is dropped, and I found it funny the first time. Don't get me wrong. I have in here "Winner gets me." Okay, LOL. Good job, prize girl. And
Yeah.
That was my third. Are you
Amanda
fucking
was
kidding
so
me?
upset. She was so
How
upset.
did you get to
I'm
3
so
Are You
annoyed.
Fucking Kidding Me's by that point? Like,
How did you
that was my
not?
first. Okay,
Oh,
so
we're-
I'm sorry,
kid
the
being
mascot was the
bullied-
first one. Yeah, the kid being
Okay.
bullied. I might be getting them backwards in my head. Maybe it was the kid, then there was the mascot, then I think it was her, and I was like, "What the hell are we watching? We're not even we're not even in Tokyo yet."
Positive role models in cinema.
Nick and
And-
I.
Speaking about setting expectations.
Nick and I had a brief conversation about that part too, that line there specifically that you mentioned there, Stephen. It's like, that's a great start to a relationship there of like, oh yeah, I won her in a car race there. Drove through a bunch of newly constructed homes and stuff like that to win her.
Oh yeah, I wasn't impressed with her, but right then, instantly everything just dropped, and I was like, "Well, I can see what we're dealing with here."
And then the one to start off the race, the one girl takes off the bra from under her shirt and throws it up, and Amanda's looking and goes, "You can't
That
fucking
was a
do that. You can't do
perfectly
that."
good, like,
And then
expensive
she starts going off
bra
about how
too.
expensive that bra that she threw
Do you
up.
know how expensive those are?
I can't believe she just threw it like that. That is so expensive.
She better have gone back for that.
And to kick off the race, we get the one and only Kid Rock there before the dark times with Kid Rock's Ba Wada Ba playing
He's
there.
Kid Rock.
That's Kid Rock.
Which one?
Bow with a bot.
Bow
Ba Wada Ba. Wow, that is terrible, Gary. Yeah,
Yeah, I did not
So is Kid
understand.
Rock. I maybe made that song better.
no.
I love that song.
Soundtrack.
But
the actual
yes,
racing soundtrack is by Kid Rock. Had that song just dropped, or was it like a throwback at that point?
That had to have been a throwback because it was off his first big album, so that would have been
Yeah.
early 2000s.
And this was what, 2005?
2006.
yeah. How many years have passed? It went 03. When it was the first movie, second movie. When was the third movie? How many years of gap did we have?
You're talking release date, right? Because we're not even
Release
into,
date, yeah.
Time
Yeah.
consideration.
No, Nick, I'm not even gonna go down the rabbit hole of a cinematic timeline. Steven and Amanda already are confused by this movie. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole.
I'm not saying you're still talking.
Okay, yeah. Let's.
Well,
keep
getting
moving.
to the race then. So my first comment on the race itself was, all these fuckers are going to die, huh? Because this is the most dangerous. We have seen several dangerous races, and this is the most dangerous race, driving around a construction site. And I noticed that apparently the truck is beating them the entire time. Like, these guys are supposed to be going balls to the
Yeah.
wall as fast as they can be. And this truck's just there and they're video cameraing from the back of it. I'm just like, how fast can you really be going? You're being beaten this entire way. Like, really?
Does the truck pass them at some point? I thought they maybe passed the truck at some point. I never. As I
Maybe.
said, dumb logic. I was actually keeping track that Amanda was at 4 what the fuck moments already. So I just want to see how many we can get to.
I stopped writing them down after that because I was like, okay, we need to be more positive. You need to start. But I mean, this is, as we went through this race, this was where my conspiracy theory came from. So conspiracy theory number 2, since Steven took number 1, we aren't even 2 Yuris yet. They all just died. The rest of the movie is their hallucinations. Because did you see those crashes? They died.
Yeah.
Or were
100%.
severely injured. No
Had
one
that
was
as well.
walking away from
The way
that
that
with a
girl
few
went
bruises
into
and some
fucking-
artistically applied blood.
The way that girl's head went into the airbag, she's
Oh
dead.
yeah, no,
She's dead.
it's a complete solid pillared like culvert or something that she smacks into. And again, to Steven's point, they're going like what, 120 miles per hour? No,
Yeah.
dead.
Because I wrote down as a note, well, they're going to die. And then the crashes happened, and I was like audibly gasping because I was like, oh my God, they literally just died. They just died. And they didn't. Or did they?
No.
My comment on that real quick was, how did they not all die? Be cooler if they did. So
I will say, at least for me, the setup for this race, it just felt like more relatable compared to the other races. Like Fast One, like we have the guy who's just got his ridiculously expensive car that he's got all tuned up, and now he's going to go to this underground drag race in the middle of the night. And it's like, I've never done anything like that. I don't know, whatever. It's number 2. There's the whole Tej arcade racer drift circuit that he's got going on, and it's like, this seems bananas. And here it's just 2 high school kids being total idiots doing the dumbest thing they possibly could with their stupid cars. It's like, yep, I have been one of those stupid high school kids with a stupid thing with my car. Like, it was at least
buy
it
that.
was at least
Like,
a
it
setup
is
in
a-
that sense that felt
It
real.
is an impromptu, like, testosterone fueled fight race where it's not very well organized and orchestrated.
Yeah, so in that sense, it just felt like a bit more grounded of a thing. Then the actual race was just ridiculous, but at least
Yeah.
drew me in more than any of the other races so far, really.
Okay, I know very, very little about cars. I know enough. But anyway, would you go faster on dirt than on pavement? The other kid is like on pavement, solid pavement. Like it might be a new community, so very new pavement. He's going down a dirt road or like behind houses, and it's somehow believable that he's going faster on a dirt road.
Yeah, no, you lose traction on dirt. Even if you're just running, you still, if you're going to be on dirt every single time that your foot comes off of the path, you also throw dirt behind you, which kind of reduces the amount of push that you get. And that's the same thing with tires. So no, you wouldn't be going as fast. But that also brings up.
But I was just like, that was the part where I was.
Right. But that also brings up a second point there. Is cutting in the racetrack really allowed? Like, he keeps just cutting in between houses, and I'm like, isn't there like an actual racetrack you're supposed to be like following here? Does this count anymore? So
valid. He takes a shortcut through the house.
I think the rules of the race were the first one in and out of this development community. No other rules. Like that was the rules. You had to get to the other end of the block. That was it.
And then
The smartest move would have been to drive forward 10 feet, back up 10 feet. Done.
right, exactly.
The Mario Kart glitch there.
That's right.
Rainbow Road through the house. I just want to hear the conversation the following Monday and be like, "Oh man, I lost my girlfriend. Yeah, you cheated to get her. Yeah, whatever. We are held to the no rules regulation. I guess you're gonna keep her now. Yeah,
Well,
I don't really think that there's many rules
He's
established.
like the
here,
Elder
what's
Wand.
fair or
If you
not.
win, you get her. If you lose, you lose her. So I mean, you can only use her if you win.
Does she have a mind of her own, or she just works better with certain people?
But I like to, like the dumb jock talks about how expensive this car is, and he's the one who just rams it into the other dude's vehicle the entire time. It's like, what are you doing? Because you even mentioned too.
Yeah, I could believe somebody with a jalopy with like where the engine is the most valuable part of the car that he would try to trade paint. But yeah, like who starts the yeah. Not only is it an expensive car, I'm sure the bodywork on that car is also like, if you brought Sean's car to the body shop, they're like, we got a torch and we'll just pop that ding right out. Like, is that scratches? Well, fuck it. It's still there. But that fancy sports car, like
the Viper.
Yeah.
Dodge
Viper. Yeah. Bodywork on that can't be cheap.
So to speak to Gary's point, I moved past the crash to the next part then where they're talking to the police. Are we there yet or no?
Hold on, you skipped him driving through a house.
That too, but you also I have one more comment here, and it's we still have the shift to go fast is still the thing here. And I need to go faster. Shift to the new gear. And I just want to know how many gears they have.
That's the classic meme from the Fast and Furious, is that it shows the gear shifter with like 18 slots going off to the side.
I don't know. I can moderately buy it if you're in a drifting race because you probably don't need to be in fifth gear. You're probably like trying to hold a lower gear, but yeah, a straight out drag race, I don't buy it.
Then we want to move on to them being in the police station. We get to learn that mommy and daddy hooked up for the two rich kids, and of course the misunderstood outcast. He's gonna have the book thrown at him.
And I'm
And his
unclear.
mom
Were they her parents
has
or
to-
his parents?
That is very unclear when they come because
Yeah.
it looks like they're both their parents. And here's my second
Yeah.
conspiracy. Or my third, I guess it's conspiracy theory number 3. This is actually a modern day version of the Lannisters.
Oh no.
I totally thought it was like just dad showed up or just mom showed up for the parents. I didn't even catch that. It seemed like that they were together for the two kids. That makes it even weirder that they're dating.
Yeah, it was one mom, one dad showed up, and they're definitely patting them both. Oh, are you okay? Are you okay? So we don't know
I
that
just
they're
figured,
not
like,
both.
Like the mom
the
hugs
rich
the daughter and the dad hugs the guy, and like I think the mom like pats the guy on the arm. Like I don't know, it was a very familiar. And that's the thing, like you could be very good friends with them, but they're high
That's what I
schoolers.
figured.
It's
They
not
just
like
all
they've
knew
been
each other
dating
for
10
years.
years.
country
They're
club
very
families know their
intimate
kids are together.
siblings.
I
Interesting.
couldn't tell because I was trying to decide whose parents they were, or something else was going on here.
Mm.
And I mean,
I haven't
maybe
got a
I'm reading too
conspiracy
far
theory
into
yet.
that.
I haven't
Sorry.
got a conspiracy theory yet. Conspiracy theory number 4: his mom bangs the police officer to get him off.
That totally is not a conspiracy theory. That totally looked like that happened. All that mom
Damn
needed
it.
to do walking out of that room was like adjust her skirt, and it would be sold.
Okay, I rescind
I
my
didn't expect
conspiracy
Nick.
theory.
You rescind. Can't rescind it.
Sean-
It's on paper.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Sean
'cause that
totally
still
like rolls
counts.
his eyes. Sean rolls his eyes when he can like tell his mom is coming on to him. The detective guy. That's totally there already. My one comment. Well, first of all, I had ridiculous blood smile through his teeth. Like again, these kids
Yeah.
would be dead. There's no way he would like be okay or like his teeth are fine. Just that little bit of blood there, and the girl I think had like some scratch on her forehead again because
Yep.
she ran into the culvert. No, they'd be dead. In that interchange with the police investigator, I had written down too when you're talking about how the car was destroyed, Gary. There's an interchange where the guy says, "Where's my car?" and the officer says, "We crushed it," and he's like, "You did what?" And I wrote down, "Yes, because it was so salvageable before." After the 17
However,
rolls and the whole chassis flipped apart.
I still like don't think that I'd be happy if someone crushed my car like without communicating with the owner of the vehicle.
Yeah, I wrote down, "Where's my car?" I crushed it. You did what? Yeah, it's just that
I had
really stuck out.
Tabasco sauce in there.
Right?
I had a cigar in there that I was waiting
My
for other
wrenches.
people to come get.
Yeah.
My
Cigar.
wrenches.
Here'd be a
Solid
funny switch there is if he had Nas in the car, crushing that.
trouble.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
In
After
the
that flip, I
rolling
think the
over,
Nas made the car
literally
explode.
Tabasco, like a Tabasco container, like floats into frame. Like absolutely makes no
Really?
sense why you'd have Tabasco in your car, unless you like it
It's hot.
spicy.
Like it's
Yeah.
Caliente. I do
Yeah, and
enjoy
then-
in that scene that they do have the mom walk in and go, "Can I? Is it illegal to smoke here?" Sign, center frame, no smoking.
I didn't catch
Deliberate.
The director said that they slowly moved that sign down in the frame. Like
Did they
it
really?
used to be kind of like, yeah, it used to be like kind of sort of off screen, or like you'd see it in it, but no, they made it so in the interaction it was always over the detective's shoulder.
That
was
was
the
a
no
choice.
smoking
That's
sign.
funny.
Did you listen
did
to the
not even
director's
catch that.
commentary again, Gary?
Yeah, I had to watch it a second time because I took no notes the first time. Didn't take enough notes the first time. I took no notes the second time.
Brave
Gary,
man you are.
of all of us, Gary's doing the most in-depth, detailed work here.
Also, whatever the fuck, what's the director's name? Something Lin?
Justin Lin.
Justin Lin.
Justin Lin admits that he's not a car person. So his solution is to have lots of intelligent people. He's surrounded himself with lots of intelligent people who know a lot about cars and drifting. And I think that maybe is like lend some credence to the movie, is that he's just trying to make a good movie, but he doesn't like overanalyze or over like gearhead the all the other bullshit. Like in the other movies where they drop so many like product placement nomenclature, like vomit explaining their cars, there was a lot less of that this time.
Yeah. We jumping over then to Sean in arriving in Japan.
Well,
And
I,
it is
I
like-
don't know. We need to jump quite over there quite yet because I just want to point out that apparently if you crash cars, you get a free ticket to Japan.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I should crash more cars.
Especially if it's your third
Yeah.
strike too.
Yeah.
I had a version of that as well. Rather than put you up in jail for the cost of like three hots and a cot, Oh, instead, clearly the family of the single mom can't afford it, so they're just going to go ahead and pay for their ticket to go over there. That threw me off.
Is it implied that the police paid to get him out of? I assumed his mom paid for the plane ticket.
Wow.
I'm sure his dad probably forked over cash
Dad.
too as a favor.
Yeah, I wrote down mental note, Will, to say, well, there's just got to be another way if my daughter ever causes problems. Apparently, this gets you sent straight to Tokyo. Like, confused, didn't know that was an option. And they all seem. It doesn't sound like this kid's been the easiest, to be fair, but.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay, so as we transition from the U.S. to Tokyo, does it seem like it's a good setup? Because even the director says, like, yeah, we just need to get this part out of the way because based on the movie's name, you already know what's going to be in Tokyo, but we just want to set everything up. I feel like this first section is kind of its own movie. Like it's just a whole different feel than the rest of the movie. No?
Well,
Tyler.
different feel, yeah, because they are setting it up. You are culturally changing now to a different part of the world. Like I'll say it felt Tokyo-ass Tokyo, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to a lot of people, but it is like they are setting it up at like, no, this is a completely different culture and part of the world that you're in there with all the shots of, Tokyo and all of the different stuff that, neon everywhere basically. So that's what it felt like, was basically just implying that, no, we are not in America anymore. This is Tokyo.
I did also get that, which raised my I was impressed by this kid just totally navigating this foreign country that clearly, like, he clearly has no clue what he's doing, and yet he completely successfully navigates through this with no problem, unless he is some kind of genius, which we have definitely not been led to assume that at all so far. I mean, he doesn't speak the language or anything, presumably, except for he does pick up a few words. They do mention something about you being a fast learner. Not been my experience so far in the movie.
I did. Oh, go ahead, Gary.
I was gonna say, yeah, they dropped him into math class, and apparently not only is he gonna pick up trigonometry, but he's also gonna pick trigonometry in Japanese.
In Japanese, yeah. I did have that one highlight too about navigating. That clearly there's a whole montage of him hopping on the wrong train, of like learning which way to go, but driving a vehicle going 90 miles an hour through downtown streets and city areas, he knows how to navigate and know where he's going. As far as the whole Tokyo background drop, I highlighted that they go through that one main Shibuya crossing square with the pedestrians, like 8 different scenes to say, like, oh yeah, by the way, this is Tokyo. In case you forgot, this is the main side street, and it's like driving through Times Square multiple times in the same show. It's like that area is notoriously difficult to navigate, let alone because you have a vehicle.
What I really wanted to do was geolocate every single location that they had in those shots and see actually where he was going. And I'm assuming it's just absolutely random hubbub around Tokyo. But he does get to his dad's place, and I do have a note about him meeting since we were talking already about him going to school, I do have my first note about him meeting his dad, is that, is there a better pair than a deadbeat dad and a hooker? And that is yes. It is a deadbeat dad sailor with a hooker. Because that is our introduction.
One step back, and I'm trying to find the scene, but literally of the few notes I took, Sean goes down an escalator before he meets his dad, and there's an MC Hammer ad in the background.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay. And I was sad on the second watch, I didn't pay attention to see exactly what MC Hammer was selling. But
like even in 2006, like MC Hammer would still not have been making a comeback or anything.
He could be like the Hasselhoff. He could just be bigger in other countries. He'd be more culturally relevant.
With the background thought about the sailor dad, I thought he was kind of a deadbeat too, but with my military background, I tried to look up really quick because it's a different branch of the military. He's actually fairly high up there in rank as an officer.
Not?
He's a
lieutenant.
Did you look up how many pips he has? Did you go this far?
03.
Yeah.
The average age of an 03 is 27 to 30 years old. This guy looks like he's 50. Like,
Okay, so he's an older rank, but yeah, he's an officer. I thought that he was like retired or like out, and just like that's why he was chilling
no,
as a
because
single dad. But no,
no, he
he's
shows up later on
still working on his career.
actually in a uniform, and that's how I got his
Same.
rank, because he had the chevrons, or not chevrons, but
Nerds.
yeah, you know me. No, because I saw that and I immediately thought, well, that's strange. Like I am not up to date on my naval ranks either, so I had to look that up, and I'm like, a lieutenant, that doesn't sound good. I have heard of this sort of thing happening, and it means he's stuck in his career. Like, he's never going to be promoted. If you are an older lieutenant like that, your career's over, bro. When they cycle you, you're getting cycled. So, I mean,
IMDb has him listed as major.
that would be
The
funny.
internet never
The
lies.
Navy, we do not have majors in the Navy.
That's funny then.
The internet always lies.
I have to double check that because, again, naval ranks are not my thing, but I'm 100% certain.
Okay, Steven, you've gotten into ranks. What rank is James Bond?
No, we're not going down that rabbit hole, Gary.
I
He's
don't give a
commander,
fuck. So-
is what they keep calling him.
Continuing down the cultural Japanese blast, there's Sean walking into school here, and I'm going to probably mispronounce this. Wabaki keeps getting shouted at him from the teacher.
Fast learner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I also had a note
Gotcha.
there. Haha, he doesn't know Japanese. What an American. Because obviously that's supposed to be the joke there, but there are the 3 toughest languages on the face of the planet are number 3, English, number 2, Arabic. The hardest language on the face of the planet is Japanese. So it's like, I don't necessarily think being a fast learner is going to really help you that hard here.
Honestly, was impressed. Like, he seemed to, because at first I was like, look at you, you're an idiot. You didn't try learning any of the language and you're just going to, go to school? And then he was actually picking up and I was like, oh, well, wow.
Yeah,
He's,
Okay. Maybe he
he's
took
just gonna step. Sorry.
I don't know. This is a little early. I keep forgetting what year this was made, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he was doing Duolingo on the airplane. I don't know.
Rosetta Stone. Yeah, they jumped over like any concept of him learning the language, and I don't think they ever really sold me that he ever did learn the language. Did you guys made it sound like maybe you thought that he was he was a super genius.
There's a
He had a
couple
couple
times
times
it
where
says
he
like
had
Because-
he goes and talks to somebody and he speaks Japanese.
Yeah, when he speaks to
yeah,
the
it's-
uncle later on, that's all in Japanese for the most part until the last few sentences.
Yeah, that's what I
At
was
the
thinking about too.
Ending, he's
You put it
speaking in
well.
Japanese too.
So yeah, we get introduced to the side character, which. So I'll back up and admit here, I'm sure I heard Sean mention as the character name multiple times in the beginning. When I got towards like the middle and end of the movie, I'm sitting there writing notes, going, I have no idea what the character's name is anymore. So I just kept calling him the protagonist in my notes. And then little Bow Wow's character's name is
Twinkie? Twinkie.
Twinkie.
okay. Well, we get to
You know, I never
introduce-
caught his name.
Yeah, I just kept referring to him as Little Bow Wow in my notes there too, because like, I have no idea what your name is.
I'll admit as well, I
How about
missed
the girl? Did you ever
the-
pick up the girl's name? Because that was one I struggled with too.
Yeah, I had to look it up
Nyla?
in IMDb. It's Neela. Because at first I was like, is she a Mia too? Really? No, I didn't know until I looked it up. Neela.
Yeah, I looked it
What
up
I
like
thought
2
was-
thirds of the way
DK
through,
is
and then I
the
heard
most-
him say it one time the rest of the movie. So
Yep.
DK is the most memorable name in the whole movie.
Because
Oh,
the entire
yes.
time I'm just sitting there referencing him as Donkey Kong. That is like,
Yes.
all I am doing is Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong.
Yep.
Even though
Steven
they
did
say
a
it's-
beautiful thing. They were like DK, and Steven goes, oh, Donkey Kong! And right after that, they said
Because
that,
Donkey
and it
Kong,
was
I'm like,
beautiful.
Mhm. But I mean, we get introduced, like I said, to little Bow Wow in his Hulk car, which that's an ugly monstrosity there.
Yeah. Well, also, while we're going through all this, I wanted to point out that so it's showing Friday Night Lights. That's the only way I can remember him. Is it's showing Friday Night
Sean.
Lights around. The star quarterback. It's showing him around to the different like Japanese population and whatnot. And he tends to be almost shorter than the average Japanese male, which for everything that was kind of portrayed about him, he seems like he'd be like one of those tall, tough guys sort of things. He's got to be like 5'5" max. Like he's got to be real short. And then it shows little Bow Wow, and Bow Wow's like heads taller than everyone. So apparently, little Bow Wow in this is like 5'2". Like everyone's really short in this movie, apparently.
And then we get
Just
to
quick googling. Bow Wow is 5'3", and Lucas Black, the actor, is 5'9".
Well,
Yes.
it makes him out to be a lot shorter than 5'9".
He
Is
hunches.
Bow Wow
Neil
older
was
than
5'3".
Lucas Black?
No, Lucas Black was born in '82, and Bow Wow was '87.
5-year difference.
Thank you
He
for coming to
actually
my
was
Wikipedia
18 when the
podcast.
movie was filmed.
Yes, join us next time
Also-
for JC's Wikipedia podcast.
And the last thing I wanted to point out was Little Bow Wow's fantastic line, "Slammin', huh?" That is the phrase I will be using from now on, so everyone is aware. Fucking slammin', man. That's slammin'. Oh, I love it.
All right, cutting Steven out of the podcast starting now.
Great.
All right, and then we jumping over to the scene where they're basically the first car meet drift event there or whatever. And I have to write it down because I think even Han mentions this when DK goes up to the girl. They're like, these are mainly high school kids, at least the core group of kids in the movie. I can't completely say that for certain about everybody there at the car meet, but then like DK goes and is hitting on this high school age girl, and you're just like, okay, time and place kind of a movie here for sure. Steven?
Well, I'll be honest. Leading up to this, I had two. First of all, I wasn't entirely sure how they got here. Like, it wasn't clear to me the steps of, hey, do you want to go to like a race meetup or whatnot? I think the closest they come to it is say, you better have better cars around here or something like that. But in no time or shape was there a, hey, do you want to go to a race spot or do you want to go see where they drive fast cars? Like, never mentioned. But at least for me, I didn't hear it. But the big positive about this scene, though, and I had multiple notes about where this was not, is we finally get the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift song, and that is something I do remember from my high school class, because I have been noting in my things here, where is my Tokyo Drift song? And here it is. And I audibly went, heck yeah, when this thing came on, so everyone's aware.
Anyway, I think it went from the racing wheel to him showing his car to him being like, where do you go with the car? Obviously, we're going to go to the place people are racing. They were going to be spectators. That's how I took it, as like, he got his car, he's going out on Friday night, he wants to be a spectator at this event, because Bow Wow is never ever shown racing in this movie.
Nope.
Like,
Which that would have been cool, that Hulk car racing, that would be cool.
To me, the aspect that they didn't just specifically say like, hey, do you have any cool racing things with fast cars around here? Let us go to the cool thing with fast. Like, this movie, I feel like compared to the first two, trust the audience to be a little bit smarter. They don't specifically spell everything out as nearly as much as the first two movies. I have a point later on where like when Sean gets kicked out from his dad's place, it's a wordless couple of scenes essentially, where I feel like if that were in movie number one, it would have been Paul Walker going, Dom, I got nowhere to go. Like, very much a
pretty good.
super overacting moment that could have been there, but instead it's just, hey, here's a scene. We can trust you to figure out what happens. So yeah, to me, it didn't bother me that like there wasn't a specific call out of like, hey, let's go to the car racing place.
I just had a quick comment on the spectator part from Little Bow Wow's Twinkie character. Later on in the show, I had a comment about how he's talking to Sean's character, the protagonist, about how like how he's able to hang out because all these girls are models, and he's like, I'm the guy that makes them smile. So I kind of had the thought the whole time that like his car was meant to be kind of a joke compared to these other really fancy cars, and his whole mentality was is he's just like hooking up with the girls, not hooking up, but like trying to talk to them and make them hang out with him because he's just lighthearted and being a goofball kind of a guy. That's kind of where I saw his character being. Yeah, he's not a racer by any means.
I didn't get that exactly from him. I definitely got it. He's very serious about the racing thing, and he's very serious about his car because it's slamming. But I just I got the feel that it was he was a lot more proud of his car, and I don't know exactly what he does. He's a black market dude, which yeah, go for it. But I didn't get the sense that he was a not serious person.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to the black market thing. However, JC said that he it sounded like Sean got kicked out. I didn't read it as him getting kicked out. I took it as him like running away from home to go hang out and live with a to go live with a stranger danger.
Yeah,
When he's 17.
You're jumping way ahead in the movie there, Gary. But
To be fair, I brought it up, but yeah,
Oh,
we
yes.
can,
Oh,
we can discuss
okay.
it in
Going
depth
back
when
to
we
the
get there, I guess.
black market thing that Steven brought up. It turns out director's commentary things that the Air Jordans are shown in the movie. Apparently, there are one of two sets of existing shoes, and they had to basically they were under lockdown while they were on the set. And I was like, that is the dumbest fact ever. You could have put any fucking shoes in that scene, and I'd been like, oh, Air Jordans, yeah, some whatever. But obviously, somebody who knows or gives a fuck probably would have noticed. But Steven,
The dumbest fact ever, and now we all share in that knowledge. So
you are now
thank you.
dumber for knowing that.
I did want to point out though, going back to the scene. So they're going through all the cars. They're looking at different cars, and before we get to any actual plot point, they get to the dance party. It's a slow-mo dance party. You see everyone dancing, and then the big scene comes, and they're drinking alcohol in this one. Because I mentioned last one they had no alcohol in the entire movie. This one, there's at least a couple people drinking beers. So back in the road.
so you're saying it's already a better movie than 2 at this point in time, right?
I'm having more fun in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, then we get like Sean and DK meeting face to face over the girl there, and then they get challenged. Like Sean challenges him to a race. He accepts a race offer from DK, although he doesn't have a car to use. And Han steps up, says, "Yeah, you could use mine."
And we get the nice non-American racism, which is always nice to have non-American racism in Gaijin, which is just a very negative term for a foreigner. And they start calling him that, and obviously he doesn't know exactly what it means, but everyone's ha 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 sort of thing. But then I also loved his comeback of, "What are you, the Justin Timberlake of Japan?" I was just like, "Oh yeah, man!"
Yeah, that was funny.
Fantastic.
Like
very good.
Steven was cheesing out, but it was a good comeback. I did enjoy it.
That insult
I
has
had-
actually aged better with time, really.
Right?
I had a comment on the DK and Sean interchange that every time DK wants to threaten somebody, he gets way too close to their face. I kept thinking to myself, if somebody's gonna like throw a punch in this interchange, there's no way he's gonna know what's coming because he's so close. I wrote down several times, "Now kiss."
Okay, so DK is supposedly the reason he's like, I gotta go because I plan on racing. So DK already planned on racing somebody else, and then impromptu decided to race Sean instead of going to the race that he actually was racing. That was just confusing to me. I don't know.
I feel like I feel like Han is high up enough that if Han chooses to partake in a race with his car, then he gets first dibs.
I agree with that. And I have to call out too, there's a technology in this film really dates this film, I think, compared to the other ones, because it is real big and noticeable. They flip out flip phones all the time to take videos and pictures and stuff like that, which that's old. That's old technology.
And they're like
Right.
taking good videos too. I do not
they
remember those phones doing that.
And they were sharing them in real time as well. But I want
Mhm.
to say real quick as a rebuttal to that, you think the technology's dated in this one? They were stealing DVD players, sir, in the first
mean,
movie.
At least you
And
can still
reselling
sit
them
there.
for millions.
If you maybe
No,
take
they
out
were
the
stealing
VH, yeah,
VHS.
if you could take out maybe some of the
Oh, took 'em
VHS
back to
players, the
VHS and
DVD
one.
players, still somewhat an okay technology, but just a bunch of flip phones taking cameras, videos, and stuff like that. It's just like, oh, this is old.
At least like the Japanese flip phone tech was more advanced. Like how we don't remember flip phones being that good for videos. Like they did have better video tech in their flip phones before they transitioned into the whole full screen smartphone stuff. But you know, definitely still looks dated just from the outset.
Things from the director's commentary. You talked about the Justin Timberlake of Japan. Apparently, the guy who says "go" in the straight race, apparently he's the Tom Cruise of Japan, and the
Yeah.
teacher is the Oprah
Thank you,
Winfrey
Mike.
of Japan.
I just had to look this up here too because I was like, okay, who is that guy? Because I'm sure he's
Yes.
um,
IMDb lists him as exceedingly handsome man.
Amazing.
Because
Okay, but-
honestly, that guy had style, and I didn't mean just his clothes. Like it was just a quick bit part, and he did it amazingly.
I agree with that.
Apparently,
entirely.
he
radiated,
was like under very high security, like somebody who you couldn't tell anyone that he was on the movie. Like definitely under wraps. Like that's how famous this random guy is in Japan.
locked him up with a pair of Air Jordans.
He walked in with style, with confidence, very suave, and like was there for not even 30 seconds, and I was like, this guy was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He nailed that job right there. So I was a little disappointed every time they had somebody else say go, and I was like, really? Totally ranking you against that guy.
Not just listed as handsome, but exceedingly handsome.
You're just mad he didn't throw his bra off.
Those are
Pulls his
expensive.
boxers
okay?
out without pulling his pants down. There we go.
Then this race turns into a break that car derby.
Well, we have
It was-
the quick instruction check with Bow Wow. Like, hey, how do I drift? If you had to give someone less than 30 seconds. He goes,
Right.
oh yeah, so handbrake's the easiest way. Then you got to power over, and he's like, you got this.
Nah.
Good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, like not great instructions. By the time he's losing, he could have just very slowly taken his way up the ramp. He had
Yeah.
already done enough damage to the side of the vehicle. Maybe you just save your front bumper. Like,
Yeah, I think at one point I finally just heard like this is like the third crash and counting. Like I'm cringing from this. And I kind of do appreciate that they didn't make him out to be like super good at it, but then I don't know what this guy's deal is. Why do you think you're so good at racing? I have seen you do two things and yet you've sucked. Like I don't know what's going on here. And why? Like it was high stakes, low skill. What did you expect to happen here? It did give me an opportunity to see a nice learning curve, and I actually do like that.
the
again,
learning
still not
curve should have
bad.
been don't get behind the effing wheel. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down what a moron because he just kept crashing, and I was like, every time they crash one of these cars, I'm like, oh my god, I can't even. Just, do you guys not know how much these things cost?
I made the joke to Amanda that every movie made made about Japan eventually turns into a horror movie of some kind, and this was the horror movie part. Because just watching a car constantly crash, I'm just going, "Oh my god, stop, please!"
I do love that it sets up the aspect that it is something he can improve on. Like Paul Walker is technically not great in the first week, but he's still like doing pretty good on his own for the first race against the top guys. And here, this is not it's 0% close. He is in a completely different state from the same field. So yeah, it definitely sets it up nicely for the actual build up of a character arc in this one.
I like they showed the improvement. I like that it took a little bit, but I'm not entirely sure I'm sold on the timeline of him suddenly being like that much better, but at least they showed the attempts. I did like the again,
Yes.
Well,
Mr. Karate Kid over there.
Good, very good training montages. I loved it.
Because we haven't gotten to that quite yet.
Sorry. It just floated.
Sorry, you guys were impressed with the learning curve. This guy's just an idiot. Like, it's completely unrealistic that that anyone would trust this idiot with another car after he ruined the first one. Like,
Han threw him his keys like it was no biggie, and I was like, I get that you're sitting here, and he made that cool comment about character and all that jazz, but I was like, no, you knew nothing. You literally picked a stranger in the crowd. That was more than just a bold choice. That was a gamble with like a 5% chance of being okay.
maybe give him the second car you gave him for that first race.
Maybe
Like, the
watch
one
him
that-
for a race or two and then see what happens. I don't know. Like, this is literally a stranger. You don't even know rumors.
If
You
you
don't
can
even know
drive
the
a
guy's
stick-
name.
if he can drive a stick shift, that would be more funny. Just like,
Yeah, if that's the conversation with Bow Wow at first, is like, all right, how do you work a clutch? Like,
Oh,
granny shifting, double clutching.
Like, I can totally agree with wanting to know the character. There's a better way to test it than with a very expensive car.
guy doesn't care. Guy has all the money in the world, as we'll learn.
Apparently.
Han don't care.
Han don't care. But
Han's an idiot too. Like,
wow, you're really aggressive about this one.
Gary's just upset we had to watch a better movie than 2.
I'm upset that you guys hate 2 because 2 is actually funny.
didn't hate
This
2.
is just like,
I'm on board with you about 2. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's funny.
Yeah, I
Jason does
actually
so
liked.
well.
I enjoyed 2. I didn't think it was
It's just-
bad.
Tyler.
I don't.
Tyler's
Saying-
the problem.
Saying a movie is funny is different than saying a movie is better than a different one there. I can agree with you. There is humor in 2, but 3 is better than 2.
Agree to disagree.
This all being said, Friday Night Lights gets out of the race, gets home, and my next note about this is apparently Dad's also a drunk, which is fantastic. We are racking up positive attributes about this dad. I'm really liking it.
I mean, there was a reason that he wasn't normally living with him already, right? Like,
Fair.
we know that he's not like the perfect parent.
I didn't think he was that bad though. Yeah, like there's a couple things, but like that are never mentioned again. But I was also like, I mean, his son came to live with him from another country, and he kind of handled it pretty well for someone who's apparently not the best dad. It's a low bar, I admit.
So
Go ahead.
I'll say it's kind of even just like a standard movie trope you hear of my house, my rules there. So it's just like, okay, dude, sure. Stephen.
I mean, but but even like when he gets there, we kind of skipped over this part, but as I'm never gonna remember his name. I am sorry.
Gone.
Sean.
Whatever. As
Sean?
he is, yeah, as he's being introduced to the, excuse me, to actually his dad kind of shows him to his room, and that is it. The next morning he wakes up, Dad is already gone with a note. Hey, your bus leaves at 7:00. Didn't even wake him up. Like, this guy is not present. This guy has hookers. This guy has alcohol. Like, you're right. There's a reason you're not living with him, and it's all these reasons. And you are on the last straw. This was obviously a push. You were gonna either go to jail or go to your dad. So obviously, Dad's not gonna be a great parent. I am just enjoying seeing kind of how this guy is living his life.
Best dad. Hashtag best dad.
Looking at the life you could be living.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think he says later that you're glad you didn't make the same mistakes I did. Also, speaking of the dad, miraculously later on, this is cutting ahead, but not really that important. he has a second garage across the street that is probably twice as big as the apartment. Like I was like, wow, you were talking about like he's a low level, like he's got to be rich as fuck to have like enough space to have a car garage.
We'll get into it, but he's also seemingly fine with his kid being involved in the Yakuza. So we'll get to that.
Nick,
That was going to be part of my comment as well, was on both aspects of that, Gary, that my son gets the tiny little annexed room to the side that's just big enough for a cot next to the random lady who lives across the 5-foot span of the way. But also I have a giant car garage next door too that I could, make into a second studio apartment if I needed to. On the comment that Steven was talking about, I had that note too about the car garage, not trying to jump ahead, but if you know your kid has, because he said like, you're not going to race, are you? Right away when he gets there, he's like, don't get behind a wheel. Isn't that like knowing your kid has an AA addiction and you've got like a hobby as a craft brewer in your garage? It just seems like you tuning up cars is clearly going to, hey, the kid might think this is kind of cool, even if I know that's what I should not be encouraging him to do. It just kind of seemed antagonistic to me.
He's a good dad, guys. He's a
Or-
good dad.
or you include him in your hobby to try to bring him back in. No, fuck that. Like, get the fuck out of here. You got to go to school. I'm gonna go keep drinking and working on this vehicle.
Tuning up my car. Don't you like cars? Dang it.
Yeah.
Then we kind of
Like, what is he doing with the car was what I was confused by. Like, now you guys are pointing out all the bad things with the dad, and I'm like, maybe I gave him too much leeway. But he's sitting here working on this car, and I'm like, even I can see. I'm like, dude, there's no engine. You are rearranging
set up a
deck
plot
chairs
point
on the
later.
Titanic here.
And he said he found it on the base. Like, it was literally just like sitting there, and he just had somebody tow it over to his garage.
You need something to do between drinking beers in the evening and catching up with hookers.
He obviously doesn't have any friends because we see zero attempt at any social life. So I'm telling you guys,
He has
That
hookers,
is not
Steven.
true. We saw
You
someone
don't
when
need
they
friends
first
when you have
arrived.
hookers.
Yeah, we saw someone when they first arrived. He's got a social life.
To be fair,
enough.
was that a hooker or was it just like some friend he's trying to like casually see on the side?
I honestly don't know, and I
This is
did wonder.
true.
We honestly
can't-
don't know.
I mean,
Because
again, like laissez-faire. All right, sorry, my kid is here and I need you to leave. It looks very shady. but-
He didn't act as shameful as you would kind of think your kid catching you out on this
Yeah.
for being with like a hooker that I would expect. He was much more like, yeah, well, adults have relationships. Get over it, kid.
Right.
Conspiracy
So-
theory number 5. It's not a hooker.
How was? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just you stating.
Conspiracy theory number 6. He has a car in the garage that he could have turned into a studio apartment.
I want no context in Gary's conspiracy theories. It's just number 6, she's not a hooker. That's all you get.
I don't know. I wrote it down. I don't know what to tell you. Trying to decide if I should write down JC.
There you go.
Complete facetious there. Yeah. All right. Do not need to include that one.
But then we do get to the scene where Sean is thrown the keys by Han, and I have a note on there. He has found his sensei, because that is kind of what ends up happening here. Is you apparently exhibited some sort of quality yesterday that I like. I am now going to take you. And by the way, I need you to be my local enforcer for the Yakuza. You good with that? You good with that? Yeah, you're good with that. Let's go.
That was like a video
Pick up
game
boy.
when the person looks at you and goes, "Oh, yes, I can tell that you are a person of good character. Let me make you my main character to do all this stuff to be the hero of the story."
The wax
It
on,
was his
wax
ju-
off,
it-
but it's extort the business.
Yeah, it was as much logic as anybody would give me if I was in a game playing and they decide, "Oh, yes, you will save all of us." What? Like, how did you decide that? I can tell what kind of person you are. From crashing a car several times, you can tell I'm a freaking moron.
I don't know when to quit.
You can tell that I'll keep going just because I feel like I have to then.
I'll
Could
burn
be
this
good, could be
motherfucker
bad.
down.
Can tell if I crash a car, I'm gonna keep crashing it at least 3 more times to make a point.
Ron needs
Yep.
somebody to keep getting all of his money errands for him so he can keep buying snacks to eat in every scene.
Fair enough.
I think that's a reoccurring theme. Apparently, he used to be a smoker, or he used to be and so he just needs something to be busy.
So, also, this kid's supposed to be what? Not even 18 yet?
Yeah.
And unless you're in certain states, you can't even drive until he even made a comment about his learner's permit, like it was so long ago. Like, I'm sorry, at absolute max, this kid's been driving 3 or 4 years. How is he as good as he is? And that's
He's a
in like
fast
states that
learner.
allow. I saw him
What?
crash again and again and again. I saw no fast learning there.
What state did he start in? Like, I didn't. Just random question. Did anyone
We actually-
catch? What?
We actually
Alabama.
did
Okay.
argue this because I was
Mhm.
asking where his accent was from, and so we were debating Texas, and then his user thing was Bama boy. So then I was like,
Bama boy.
Alabama.
I
But I wasn't.
tried to get him to Alabama. The
So,
actor's
I
choice
mean-
of his accent is questionable, but yeah.
Now I'm sitting here wanting to Google what the age limit is for driving, because like obviously in my state it's quite young, but in other states I'm pretty sure it's 16. So there's a chance this kid's only been driving for a year or two, and he's just not very good. Like, how many cars has he run his poor mother through? Seriously. No wonder she sent him to Tokyo.
He only races for pink slips, Amanda. She's got tons of cars.
That's actually pretty funny context. Only race for the most expensive thing that I will never ever. I've got no proof that I've ever won for.
So we're moving on here basically to. Is it the training montage then of him learning
No,
how
so
to
it's
drift
right
on that
before
dock?
that, they go to actually a club, and it's like
A bathhouse?
no, it's
Not that one?
this is
Okay.
after the bathhouse.
Okay.
So Han introduces him to. They go into this club, go into the back room of this club, and in the back room of this club is what is his name?
Twinkie.
Takeshi. And I'm gonna actually remember that. But
Okay.
introduce him to Takeshi, and Takeshi's like, "What the heck is this guy doing here?" and all that sort of stuff. And they start talking business, whatnot. And in the meantime, they take this guy through this club, down through these stairs to a different part of the club where there's more people dancing. And then in the other room off the side of the club is a giant garage. And I don't know exactly where they are anymore. Are they like 4 flights underground at this point in time? Because there is just so many room upon rooms. This is a bunker that they are in at this point in time. It is a dance bunker.
I also made a note that this is the most indirect path for him to get to a garage that has access to the street. Also, apparently, it was just something that the director had seen in Tokyo, where like there was a club hidden in the back of another club. Like the good club is like kind of sort of through a secret door in the back, but the garage is just like an absolutely like jump in the shark moment of like this. I was just like, this is the most indirect path. There's 2 giant garage doors open behind you. You couldn't just go through those. Anyway,
I didn't really have a note on this, just an observation. It seemed like some of the people live at this random garage because some of the people
Mhm.
looked like they
I
were
saw that.
crawling into like a bed bunk or something like that. For the gals.
apparently those are like temporary nap beds that you see at like airports or train stations.
Ah.
Like they're commuter bunks. I don't know.
Oh, and doesn't Japan have like capsule hotels where it's basically just that you have a little? It's
just
about that
overnighted
size, and you
bunk.
can just sleep safely in there. You don't get a whole room and stuff. You just need that. Guys, I looked it up. In Alabama, you can get a fully unrestricted license at age 17. So this kid's been driving for like maybe a year without
He was on his third. He was on his third
without
school. You don't know
restrictions.
where he lived. He could have lived in South Dakota.
I mean, maybe he's failed the grades a few times, but they definitely
He got
said he
kicked out
wasn't
of Lincoln
18
High
yet.
School.
So I'm just saying, he's got that
Ag
accent.
racing down 41st Street.
I mean, in South Dakota, I certainly knew folks were driving before they actually technically had their learner's permit. So I'm sure the back dirt roads of Alabama, they probably did the same. Many a country song probably mentions that doing just that in Alabama. So
Take me home.
that's exactly the one that mentions driving without a learner's permit. There is no
In
at
Alabama.
no point does John Denver
Definitely.
mention that he has a proper license during that song.
Or a
Well,
different
that's
state.
That's West Virginia there, though, so they're probably even more different than that.
It's not the state of West Virginia, it's the western part of Virginia. Just to clarify.
Thanks for joining
Things
Gary's
that-
Wikipedia
other
podcast.
dumb facts you didn't need to know.
I'm gonna need you to
All
cite
of
your
Gary's
sources there.
information is
It
Gary's
is
information is just
some random like
parsed
I don't know
from
where
the
the hell about
director's commentary.
based on like the next line he explains like the mountain or something, but like
Blue Ridge
basically he
Mountains.
explains the geography of where he's at, and it's in the west side of the state of Virginia. Anyway,
And in fact,
dumb
the country mama
facts.
was in specifically Roanoke, so you use that as a guidepost as well. So
I'm learning so much.
Interesting.
This will never be useful in life.
or in this podcast.
I
We
will
do
have
get the
forgotten the
training montage
specifics. I'll
next,
just
though.
remember.
Yep, the training montage of him learning to drift with those two old guys.
Yep.
Very
And
much
all I have,
reminds
I have a
was
me
note
of
real quick there on the entire
on.
training montage. That's just break that car. Break that car.
Of the two fishermen, the further one is actually like a national drift champion.
What? That's cool then. I like that. Because as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Here's the guys that are gonna be the hardest to impress, and then when they give their reluctant approval, we'll know he's better. I understand the role here.
Yeah, right.
Actually, of the two, I think he's the only one who has speaking lines. I think the other guy is just a deaf mute. So
these two guys remind me too. I don't know if anyone else has seen the movie Major League. There's always these scenes where they're talking about the team, and then there's always these two guys who are responsible for like field maintenance, and they're speaking in like Japanese or something like that, and like we are shit or something like that, and it just those two guys reminds me of those two dudes from Major League too.
that's a deep cut. I even why?
Someday we'll keep track of all of our pop culture references in a podcast. So
We've got a John Denver song this episode too. So
yeah,
anyway.
things you never thought you'd hear in a movie podcast about Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. So then we get the fist fight now on the roof here between little Bow Wow and that other guy. I just know.
Mhm.
So funny enough too, I just know this dude from the movie Perfect Score. He's the Asian stoner dude in the movie Perfect Score. Which, if you haven't seen that movie, recommend it. But
It stars Scarlet. It stars the Black Widow and Captain America.
yes, they are. Both
Are
in
you
the
pulling
movie.
a Steven here and just giving them other names from other movies?
I know they're Scarlett Johansson and
Steve Rogers.
No.
Chris Hemsworth? Chris.
Chris-
I
Pratt.
was looking something up. So I missed it.
Chris. He's a Chris. He's one of the Chris's.
Chris
What am I
Evans?
trying to name?
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Chris Evans. Okay.
Captain America, Chris Evans.
Yes.
Throwing out wrong Chris's. And we've got an Avengers reference in this episode. Toot toot.
Yay.
Feather in the cap.
So this is it feels like this is kind of a change in character for Sean there, because little Bow Wow, I mean, it's a little bit different from the spray paint kid scene at the beginning, but at the same time it's like Sean is making that choice to step into a fight there that is not anything to do with him. And Amanda already has something.
Yeah, because I wrote down immediately, oh, what? Like, we know you stand up for people? Don't be sitting here acting like you're not going to let some kind of injustice like this pass. We already saw your character. Go ahead, Nick.
I had a question after the fight. Was it just me, or did the random dude with orange hair spit in his hand and like blow it into the air? Is that a culture
Yeah.
thing of something?
It is not a culture thing. The director addressed it, and it's just something that stupid actor did. Like, not
And they left it in?
culturally at all.
For people to ponder afterwards? Yes.
Because
Good deal.
if you Google it, the result will be a May 2011 Twitter post saying, "Why does he do that?" And even like he was responding even as recently as August of last year, saying like, "Nope, I still don't know."
You just got a canned response for 20 years later. 20 years later. Yep. I don't really know why.
No one has come up with a good
I'm just
answer yet.
surprised Tyler knew that he was in another movie. I didn't catch any that. I just assumed he was a random actor. Never
This is a
seen
character I
again.
absolutely did not know the name until I looked it up on IMDb.
Yeah.
More
Just
Morimoto.
that character.
Yeah, this character for sure. Like Neela, I looked it up and then I heard it referenced later, but Morimoto could not tell you at any point that the name was referenced.
And again, I'll say basically, other than Han, I did not remember any of these characters' names throughout most of the movie here. So
You watch Alter, you'd remember she's name really.
come again, Steven, you became a robot there.
Oh, darn it. I said, if you've ever watched Altered Carbon, you could remember Takeshi's name very easily.
I was wondering how you did not remember the DK part, because to me that was like, oh yeah, DK. But you're like, oh, I know, Takeshi. Friday
did
Night
have a
Lights, can't
moment.
remember Sean. Takeshi, though.
Because Steve, when we heard him say that, it was several times Steven's like, Takeshi Kovacs. Wrong movie. Good show.
Bad books.
And then we learned that basically Tokyo is essentially Han's escaping to Mexico for him there. He had a life beforehand there. And then we kind of learned a little bit about why. So I'm looking at my notes here. I will admit I did not take the greatest notes here, but like we get Han basically going out there drifting around that car to show Sean's character of like, this is why I do this. And it's to pick up.
He has like the little life advice moment looking out over the city first, I think, right?
Yes.
Where he's kind of has like, who you choose to be around lets you know who you are, which to me felt like was a very good summation of kind of the series themes if you're going to put it up into a single line so far.
Very true.
But then, yeah, I think Sean finishes that conversation with like, so why do you drift? And then that's whenever the cut to the girls on the road. They're just trying to take a right turn, Han. Come on.
Yes, they're holding them up there.
that blinker going the whole time.
Yeah. Like, I didn't know if I missed something because I turned around and I looked, and they're drifting around the car in the center of the road. Amanda's going, how large is this road? Where is everyone? Why are they in the middle of the road? What's happening right now? But hey, they get the number.
There you go.
Successful drift achieved.
Successful
That-
drift achieved.
That girl's
game
friend was prepared and was a great friend, like ready to go. Wrote it down for her.
Writing. Maybe it just says, get the hell out of our way. We never actually see it's a number, right?
Go fuck yourself.
Just hold it out the window, and then he like smiles and drives past and picks it up.
And then we get kind of basically just another training montage there of down the mountain, and then like Sean and little Bow Wow out on the streets selling stuff there, and kind of casual scenes of the underground Yakuza dealings.
Well, and I think during this drifting down the mountain, that's when he's in the car with Neela, right?
Nope, that's
No, that's
Later.
later.
That's
Okay.
a later one.
But that is coming. That is, I think it's kind of all in this area. There is the training montage though of Daylight going down the mountain with Han telling him again.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yep. Amanda was.
That was my favorite
kind of
one. I was like, again. Loved it.
Another point of
He
clarification.
literally referenced Karate Kid and then did it, and I was like, that was a really clever way of doing it, because then we don't have to sit there and be like, oh, he stole it from Karate Kid. Because no, it's fine, because he called himself out on it. Wax
Another
on,
point-
wax off.
Another point of clarification: is there just the one road down that everybody's driving? Like, if they're drifting into the other lane, does nobody come up the hill around the curves?
They have roadblocks.
I assume
down
they
at the bottom
blocked off the
hills.
top and the bottom.
Yeah.
Just like in Miami, you just take some roadblock signs out there and just shut down the street randomly.
Okay.
Also, I guess it's later on. The Yakuza is at the top and the bottom.
Yes. But we also get then too, Sean leaves his dad's place there to go stay with Han.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, as Gary mentioned earlier, to me that was Sean getting kicked out. It could have been perhaps him leaving, but he had been on thin ice with his dad a ton, and then we see his dad look and see the empty bunk at a late time again, and he had told him stop coming home late, stop doing all this stuff, and so to me that was his dad saying, all right, well, you're done here.
Honestly, I took that the complete opposite. I thought he saw the empty bunk because he had already decided to not stay there anymore. And I was like, oh man. Not till you guys were mentioning that I was like, oh, I guess there's actually a possibility it was being kicked out.
I thought he went into the bedroom expecting to see him, and he saw like all of the sheets were nicely folded on the bed.
Yeah, I was just taking it as Sean just deciding that he's just not going to bother and just move out there, pretty much.
To all of our listener, please comment down below if you think that he left of his own accord or if the dad kicked him out.
I'll be waiting for that podcast comment on Spotify to come.
Dad of the year.
To me, I guess it was more if he chose to leave voluntarily, he probably would have talked to Han ahead of time rather than just like appearing there without any notice. But
fair point.
I could see
he's
either
a
way,
super responsible teenager who always thinks ahead.
And then we go to Sean winning his first drift race against DK's buddy pal there, and he happens to win a car for Han there because of this. So,
is it just me, or did Makimoto like have a complete mental breakdown in the car, screaming and shouting?
mm-hmm.
Seemed less
he had
like
his own
crap.
Monica.
Just didn't seem necessary.
He lost to the
Well,
American.
he did just lose his best friend, like a nice vehicle.
I hate to pull this out, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You knew what the stakes were. You knew it was a 50-50 shot, at the very least. I'm my sympathy was limited. Sorry.
But then this is Stephen, where we get the Sean going out with Neela there, and then we have, as I referenced it here in my notes, the drift and drive exposition there down the mountain.
It was so there's so many things this movie does well. This was not one of them. This was so weird and out of place. They are drifting down this thing where you're supposed to be, I'm assuming, you're hearing tires go, and like, no, they're just having this really nice conversation between each other, and they're having just really indoor voices. They're making sure that everyone can pay attention very nicely. And oh my God, it is so just strange, weird. The vibe is off. The vibe is kind of supposed to be really chill, but they're fucking, swerving their cars everywhere. And all I could think about was comparing and contrasting this with the first one where Mia's driving, and Mia's like, hey, I'm going to scare the living crap out of you. Let's drive. And you know what? You're sitting there going, oh my God, she's a psycho driver. She's good, but she's a psycho driver. In this one, it's just, we're all going to drift. everyone just stay calm.
Just on a
Be
cloud.
one
Just
with
riding
the-
on a
yeah.
cloud.
Tokyo Drift
The
ASMR.
director does note that there's a suspension of disbelief for how loud it would be in a vehicle that is currently drifting around a corner, that you would not be able to hold up a conversation in that car.
Which, I mean, I feel like you could have just easily made that to be something where it's like it cuts back to them talking at the diner where they were eating from the vending machine, and then cuts back to them. But yeah, Justin Lin, he's done the best job so far, so I won't slash him too much
Yeah.
for this.
I'll forgive the scene. It was a little bit jarring though to realize, to be like, because I was like, this is like the most peaceful, sweet, relaxing music, and just what they're doing. If you are into racing or drifting or cars that go fast, you're likely doing it not for the peacefulness. It's either the adrenaline or the going fast or the like. It's not. I'm sure after some time you can take the peacefulness out of like in your head for it, but it didn't quite work for me. It wasn't bad. I'll accept it, but it was funny.
And then DK is not happy about that, right? Is that the next scene?
Yes, and
Wow.
it's he calls her in, basically tells her that what I have it as, where would you be without me? Like it's just the basically just saying I'm the only reason you've survived, Gaijin, and so he's the first one to call her a Gaijin now too. But I get that he doesn't like what she's doing. This seems like a super weird way to go about lambasting her. I mean, I would say it's in the middle of really violent and just let her go completely, and it's just in an awkward space for me. It doesn't come off super well, and I don't actually understand where the conversation ends, because then she obviously leaves him and goes to Sean, but it wasn't willingly, and I don't think that guy would let her leave willingly. So I just a little bit of confusion there, but definitely a very Gollum scene.
What is the age gap between those two? I'm assuming DK is in his 20s and she's also 17?
Old enough to still be criminal.
Yeah.
Because Han calls it out. He's like, why are you still messing with high school girls or whatever? Indicating that he is an older person and she is not. I mean, yes, you can be 18 in high school there, but
I mean, I don't know if I would specifically say it's criminal. But we don't know that aspect, but yeah, it's at an age where Han would say that it's not not what he should be
weird.
doing.
Well,
yeah,
and
that's
we
more of
Romeo
a
and
joke
Juliet
there, but
clause.
Sure.
Well,
Fair.
I will say, to be completely in his defense as well, I remember my first year in college at the ripe old age of 19, and I had one of the guys that was in my dorm had a girlfriend who was still in high school, and everyone's like, I can't believe you're dating a high school, and it's 1 year difference at that point. So
And that's something different, totally, honestly. But like, I don't know. I wrote down a note at this point, like, I'm so confused about the girls, like, why they're cool being treated like this, because I get really confused in these movies. I know it's a common trope in the day, and honestly, we still see it today, of like, why would you want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with you? I am confused. Like, what is his goal here? He's going to force her to be with him. Why would you want that? Are you trying to get rid of her? Well, clearly you're forcing her to be like, what is your end goal here, dude? And then her, especially when when she's first meeting him, like she's obviously mad that he's talking about her like this, but I'm like, but you said nothing went from this. I don't know, I'm confused. I guess if Stephen goes and flirts with somebody else, I'm gonna be pissed at him, not the girl.
We're gonna need to test this scientifically to make sure there's not any actual static with the girls.
well, damn it.
Yeah. We're gonna need you to document if she comes up and says, "I smell skinks."
Yeah, right. Skanks.
No.
Tire tracks up your back.
If Amanda did that, that would be one of the most amazing.
For science.
For
for science.
All right, guys, it's almost 12 o'clock. We can still make the bars right now. Let's go.
Yeah, it feels like every main female love interest in these movies so far has been some sort of abuse victim in a lot of ways. So this movie continues the trend. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we get DK's uncle showing up, the Yakuza boss uncle showing up to talk to him about his numbers not adding up correctly. And what do you got, Steven?
This scene was pretty good, and I had two notes on the scene. First note was a little bit more unserious, and that was, this guy looks like Al Capone, and I just can't take him seriously initially. And then the dude gets serious and starts giving off that parable, and Amanda and I are sitting there watching, and I go, "Oh, he's gonna slap his what is it? Not his niece, his nephew. He's
Nephew.
gonna slap his nephew." And no, he just gets up, looks at a picture of his dad. I miss your dad. Puts down the picture, walks out. I'm like, oh my gosh, there was so much tension in that scene. That was legitimately probably the scariest moment in all three of the movies that I have seen so far.
Yeah, and there wasn't without the threat of violence, he managed to be a lot scarier, honestly. And I totally applaud the actor. He did a great job.
For never having like pulled out a gun or like actually any physical altercation, I thought the same thing. I thought his character seemed kind of cartoonish with the Al Capone look, but I would agree with that. Also, conspiracy theory, I think he totally killed his brother, his dad.
Oh, yeah, it seemed like it. Definitely seemed like it.
I was literally sitting in the wings, waiting.
Now you have to give it to Nick.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. The way that he said, "I missed your dad," I totally got those vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a scary scene though, and I do think that this may be, even though he's not even the main villain of this movie, this is probably the scariest villain I think we have come across in all three movies. Like the last guy was obviously a psychopath, but he was not quite as believable as a psychopath. And then the first movie, you just have, Racer doing Racer things. This is the first guy that's like, this guy would probably kill you, would probably kill your family, would probably kill your family's family, and then would have a nice brunch. And it would be entirely within reason for him. And that's a lot.
And he may even mourn you. He'll probably mourn you and wish, and it was deadly serious and deadly terrifying. And he sold it. Like, if you had someone slightly less seriously do that, it'd have been like, that wasn't terribly done. You didn't even threaten him with a gun. God. Didn't need to.
Very well acted. Very well acted.
Throwing out movie references to other movies, there's a scene in the director's commentary in The Departed where the director's talking to Jack Nicholson about like how to seem like a terrifying dude without really doing much. And yeah, kind of had those vibes for me.
I've never seen The Departed.
Oh my gosh, it's an amazing movie.
God dang it, Steven.
But right after this inspires that, Takeshi to go and do a full out raid on his business partner. I don't actually know what the relationship is. Friend? Are they just friends, or do they have any sort of relationship?
Business
I
partner.
don't think they have a business partner. Have they ever said that they're business partners?
Yeah, he says your partner is stealing from you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they do their closed door meetings where Han's handing cash to DK and Sean sees it and DK closes the door like, this ain't for you. So I mean, they have their moments there that they need to talk business, but and that's the whole thing is that Sean is picking up the cash to give to Han, and then he's saying like, "Hey, DK, I'm not giving this to DK," and he's like, DK isn't even real Yakuza. Doesn't matter. I can handle him. That's the
He
first
plays
illusion
a
we get that
gangster
he's
in his closet.
Yeah.
Sick burn. I was like, ouch.
So I have a question for the group. Obviously, the raid leads to a confrontation between Takeshi and
Han.
the other one. Thank you, Han. Where
who's Takeshi?
DK.
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 Oh.
Steven is calling him Takeshi, which is technically the character's name. But Steven is calling him that in the same manner as calling the other guy Friday Night Lights, because he's quoting another movie.
Yes, but this one works. Okay. So
And yet
anyway,
you're confusing Gary, so.
my question
Not
for
hard.
the group here, I'd like to hear your guys' answers. How does this confrontation go down if Han doesn't try to grab the gun and run? Because I'm not sure Takeshi it has the balls to pull or the want necessarily to pull the trigger on the gun. I don't know if it goes down if that doesn't happen.
I mean,
He's
What was
got
the
a
question
lot
for
of. He brings goons with him, so I think he can't chicken out because he has goons with him.
the question is does this go down the same way if Han doesn't grab the gun from DK?
What's the moment that happens? There's some distraction that occurs
Pulls the
that
alarm, presses or
Twinkie hits the garage
closes
doors,
the
yeah.
garage doors.
that's what it is. Yep. Just trying to remember what that.
Also,
part
those garage doors do not close in a safe manner. Like they're not. Remember, it's just like it just drops them.
Yeah, like what button is that? That's like the emergency release for all the chains on all the doors at the same time. Like, that's,
Look,
who sets that
you
up?
had fears about zombie apocalypse, you would have those too. Okay.
Right.
I guess I didn't think that he brought the gun to murder Han. He brought the gun to terrify him into maybe divulging that maybe he was stealing from him. So my perception was I don't think he was going to do it either. I think he pulls it out because Han doesn't cop to it right away, and Don has been agitating him all show. So I think it's just like, well, this is what I'm prepared to do. What it really is just a facade.
I don't think he's gonna murder him, but I just do think he's gonna maybe shoot him in the kneecap or something.
I think ultimately,
Maybe shoot at random objects in his garage, just cause damage.
yeah, it's hard to say what the. I don't know inherently if like he would have gone to full on shooting, but also I think that DK has been so unpredictable with his rage as of late, especially that Neela just showed up here after being confronted violently by him and things like that, and now Han knows that, and here suddenly he is having a gun pointed in his face. So I don't blame Han if he thinks he is in danger for that. But if nothing else, I think if the gun weren't involved in the first place, then yeah, like DK and his crew are there to lay a beat down on Han and his crew, if nothing else. And I feel like Han does
He said lay a beat down, and all I can think is drop a beat. All he was there to drop a beat.
That's right. They're gonna have a breakdance battle. They're gonna. Yep.
Yeah.
This is how we're gonna settle it. Step up to the streets of Tokyo.
Yep. Yeah, boy.
Slamming.
That's why Twinkie had all those clocks earlier, because he was gonna have everybody dressed up for the B-boy competition.
There you go.
I didn't have much more to add there.
I was just gonna kind of wrap it up with, unfortunately, tragedy strikes at the end of this chase sequence. Han gets hit by an oncoming car, or T-boned essentially by a car coming, flips his vehicle,
but real
and
quick,
he's
during the chase,
barbecue.
during the chase scene, real quick though,
Yep.
this chase scene I don't think ages very well either, because we get to a point where they're crossing like the big crossing where all the people cross the street there, and Amanda and I look at this and go, oh my god, this is a terrorist attack. This is exactly what would happen in a terrorist attack. A car just drives through everyone and just causes mass chaos, and they've already probably killed a couple civilians, just like random cars in the, what is this, his friend drives off into the right hand lane, just gets head on right by a car. I
didn't even think about that.
It's probably
Steven.
a
Yes,
Toyota, which has highly rated front end collision safety features, so they're
fair
fine.
enough.
Yeah, since this movie came out, people have driven into crowds of people in cars.
Yes.
So,
yeah, no, it was terrifying. And
does that age
the,
well?
the fact that they didn't hit anyone was not due to their skill. It was due to the pedestrians being able to somehow anticipate and move out of the way, which could very easily not have happened, or they could have run into each other and then fallen over. And That was honestly terrifying.
Yeah, even me who has seen it before, I kept thinking like, "Oh, they're really cutting this close. These civilians have not moved yet. Like, and they start to just part a little bit right in front of it, and then
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden, like, oh nope, they're the perfect drift turn to the perfect direction that they happen to choose anyway. So, good thing that he's a fast learner.
Yeah, luckily they know what direction they were turning.
Yeah, good thing they were making a left turn and not a right turn.
Yeah.
Or just go straight. Yeah, who knows? Well, just happen to choose.
So sorry to cut you off there, Tyler.
No,
Then we get to the they get Han gets T-boned.
yep. There's just some random happenstance. He happens to just be hitting the wrong intersection at the wrong time, and that's it for Han.
The fact that he gets T-boned out of everything else movie, he gets T-boned and his car explodes. Just all the other crashes in this movie, all the other things in this movie, it is getting T-boned that makes your car explode.
You got a conspiracy theory to go with that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Did he have NOS in his car? I remember in that scene. There's like something leaking
I think
as he's upside down too.
I think it's gas.
I think it's always just
Yeah.
implied that it's gas that's leaking.
Next, there's not any NOS in this movie, is there? Well,
There
let me
is.
think back. There's no
one,
NOS
there's one.
used. Is there?
There is on
Sure.
the
Okay.
There is
the freeway
When he
scene where
speeds
they
past the cops.
freeway
Yes.
scene where they're going
That's
100,
right with the cops. Yeah.
187 they say kilometers past the
Mhm.
police, and they're like, if you're going over 157, the police don't get you. They have factory set
That's
cars.
right. Yeah. I was thinking the races, but yeah, I forgot that scene. And
Uh,
then there's
the
whenever you're looking over
director
Han's
said-
garage, there's a bike that has 2 giant cans of NOS strapped to
Right.
I
it.
did see
On a
that.
motorcycle, I saw that. I was like, holy.
Oh, I want to see.
That
I
was
missed
different.
that completely.
I'll
Yeah, I
look for it.
saw it.
That one was like, whoa. Scary.
The director said that it is in fact true that the police are factory tuned. However, you're never going to get out of traffic in Tokyo enough to go that fast. So it wasn't really realistic at all.
Mhm.
Again, being one of the most populated cities on the planet, that it's a miracle nobody actually got hit as they're driving through town.
Well, people did get hit.
Or did
Still
they?
no cars.
If it was a fever dream, how many people were murdered?
Yeah.
Well, for conspiracy theory, they're all dead, right? This is just
Right?
their afterlife,
Exactly.
right?
So really, like, my conspiracy theory is safer because then just these two morons died rather than like everybody else
Who's
that they
Han?
definitely hurt.
If he dies in the first scene, who is Han? Is Han like his spiritual leader?
Critical reaction in your
Han
head.
it's his subconscious best friend that is playing the role of morality in his dreams.
That is
Finding
amazing,
himself
like,
by defining himself by the characters he hangs out with.
Ooh.
Really speaking to who Sean thinks he is in his afterlife. Got deep. Tyler's nodding. He's on board with this.
Yes, totally. This deepness that's going on here for sure.
But
Uh,
I mean, then as you do, they abandon the crime scene. They leave the car there with obviously no DNA evidence to point back to them,
Right.
and go back.
They leave their friend burning alive in a vehicle.
Their friend burning alive, 100%. Because we're not sure he's dead. He's just on fire. But
He'll be
then they
fine.
get back to his dad's house, and oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Are we implying that any of us would be running into a giant ball of fire at this point? Like,
It is
I admit I like my friends a lot, but I don't know that I could run into a giant ball of fire to do anything really. Like, I'm just not equipped for that. I'll be honest.
No,
So-
absolutely. But like, we don't hear about a funeral. We don't hear about anything else after that. We don't hear about the poor guy's family if he had any. And
Maybe
I'm
Police just
like,
take
don't
all
the-
of his cars, and that's all we know.
yeah,
the
probably
police
because they
impound
left the
all of his
car with a
vehicles.
license plate on it at the scene. Of course, they knew where the cars came from then.
Have to find
I-
the club within a club to go back and find his garage.
Hmm.
I'm trying to remember this scene. I was sort of falling asleep as I was trying to watch this earlier this week, late in the evening. he's with Twinkie, right, in the car. Did somebody pull him back? Because I remember he gets out and like wants to go look at the car, and I remember he
Mila, I think.
stops, doesn't he?
It's Neela.
Mila's with him. Or Neela
Yeah.
grabs him.
I
Okay,
don't know
so
what her name is. Mila.
maybe
Neela.
Neela.
he doesn't go to the car
Neela
because
with an N, yeah.
maybe he doesn't go to the car because he's pulled back or something.
Yes.
It could be.
Remember he gets out, like he's out of the car. He's like standing watching the car burning, and then retreats. I remember. Interesting.
Yeah, I just I don't know, the entire you're gonna get caught. There's no way you don't get out of that. Like, he's going to jail now. He's going to international, hey, I'm in Japanese jail, because
Or strikes. They just send him to another country.
or strikes.
Send
I
him
mean-
to like Russia or Mexico or something like that.
Fast and Furious Baja Drift.
Wasn't there just a case last year? It was a Navy corpsman or a Navy. It was either a Navy officer or a Marine got in
Victor
a car
Askew.
accident and killed someone, a Japanese person in a car accident, and he was basically, because he was involved in the accident, he was found guilty of being in all that. So I'm just saying, there is no way this guy doesn't go to jail. There's no way. But
I'll just
Now he's at
believe
his
you
dad's
that
home.
story was real.
What?
Gary, what does the director's cut say about this explosion of your vehicle?
I said, Steven, I'll just believe you that story was real.
100% was.
So Neela ends up going back with DK after they're confronted outside of Sean's house there, and Sean's dad shows up to save the day.
Yeah, because also Takeshi shows up with a gun and
He's
like
got a gun.
pointing his gun, and then obviously it's Dad Ex Machina. Dad's pointing the gun at Takeshi's head, and to defuse the situation, Mila says, "I'll just go with you." And my notes here have a better dad would have saved the girl too. Just saying, because I feel like the dad has the gun to Takeshi's head, and when the girl says, "I'll just go with you," the dad says, "The fuck you are! This guy's leaving right now."
Yeah, right.
We're there.
Steven, Steven, do you have some baggage with drunk sailor dad?
I just don't think he's a very good dad.
A better dad.
Steven was pretty outraged at this part in the show, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's not great, but I'm just like, he's just coming out finding his son being pointed a gun. There's some Yakuza activity here. Like, I don't know.
He doesn't
yeah,
probably know the whole story. He just assumes that his son probably slept with this guy's girlfriend.
He thought his
And
son
so
had a
he's
hooker.
just like,
Yeah.
you can have her. My son needs to get out of this alive. Like, I don't need to be a hero. I just need to keep my son alive. I'll never hear the end of it with the ex-wife if I let my son get shot.
Hey, at
I'm not
least
a
he wasn't
hero. I'm just a
driving.
military man.
Right.
There you go.
Just Navy dad.
Maybe.
You know, if I'm kind of thinking through this here, if I come out into my front lawn, I see some dude who I don't know pointing a gun already at my kid. Does the dad just walk out and shoot?
That's what I think
I mean,
would happen.
you don't
for
know
me.
that this is a threat or if this is
Yeah.
like legit. This is going down, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
So you just
100%.
shoot first and ask questions later, kind of a person, huh?
Dude,
I mean,
someone's pointing a gun at
He's
my
got a
daughter.
garage
yeah,
to
right,
dispose
his
of
head's
the
blown off.
body.
I mean,
What if it's a cop?
We were making a movie. It's called Tokyo Drift. Oh, geez.
damn
Why'd
it.
you shoot my
Oh
phone?
gosh.
I have no idea what Japanese self-defense laws and all that stand your ground aspect is. So
Into the weeds,
can say,
right?
yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think it's fairly strict.
There's an actual law that in Japan, if there's a person out in front of your one double wide little land plot between your two garages in a back alley, you're free to shoot, no questions asked.
Just do it.
Just do it.
So
But
then,
to what
Oh.
Nick is saying, though, I mean, I get that as a parent. Like, if I go out and I see my kid and there's someone with a gun to my kid, like, I'm not going to probably ask questions at that point in time. It's just, yeah.
But you've also just got severe burns by pulling someone out of a fire. So are you really going to be in state to
Damn
do
it, I
two
can do
acts
all
of
three
bravery?
things at once, okay?
So then we move on to Sean getting some money from Little Bow Wow's character. That Han said he said Han would have wanted you to have this. Oh,
Well, we've missed past the actual growth moment that he shows his dad that he has grown, because after that entire scene goes down, he's starts walking off, and the dad's like, "No, we're getting you a plane flight back home right now." And he's like, "No, Dad, this is my mess. I've got to clean it up."
Yeah.
And
That's my
Dad's
mess.
like, "Oh, you're taking responsibility. Well, that's good. Go kill people." And end scene.
No, that's the part where he says, "At least you're not making the same mistakes I made." Like that was like a very blanket drunk Navy dad like expression. Like you're making different mistakes, but at least you're not making my mistakes.
Yeah, I wrote down, "Oh, I get it. It's the first time he's taking responsibility, not running away."
hmm
I get it.
Which, I mean, it's
Do
a
you
character
guys
building
accept
moment
this?
for him, I guess.
Do you guys accept this cop out? Like that's an acceptable like.
For the time that was made, I will accept it. For today, I
the
would be
dad or
like,
for the
"Are you
boy?
kidding me?"
But that's what is allowed to like the conversation is that minimal that allows it to go to the next story beat. Like it's just poor storytelling.
I don't know if I accept it. I understand it. It is
I can get behind that.
it is trying to show that he has grown. It is trying to show that he has grown in a not as dialogue-y way, like what JC was saying. It's not as much excuse me, conversation between the two of them. It's expected that the viewer is going to understand that the growth moment is taking place. But at the same time, it does feel weird and forced, because it is one thing to have a growth moment. It is another thing to let your son that you just pulled a gun out to save someone from him pulling a gun on someone else, then go off to find the guy who just pulled the gun on. Like, that's a weird scenario, but whatever. JC?
Yeah, it is a weird scenario. It feels, if you just cut the movie right there and said what happens next, then it would be like, okay, they have their "we're gonna build a car" moment, and the dad and the son go out there and work on the car together, and all this stuff, and he's make sure that like maybe gives them some shooting lessons or something. I don't even know how he would involve that, but like the dad feels like he should be a little more involved than he currently is. Like basically for the rest of the movie, he gives them the car. We don't even see if this dad sees the car after he's gotten it all fixed up, even though it's his freaking car. But nope, all right, go off, son. You're responsible for your mess. Have fun.
He is a man of few words, I noticed. So I kind of bought it for the character. But
Yep.
I think my turning point for the dad was when he just tossed the kid his keys later. And I'm like, this is a little too fast of a turnaround for me.
He tossed some keys?
Yeah,
When
When he gives them the car shells, yeah.
Yeah, this
Oh.
comes up a little bit later after Little Bow Wow scene and all that, but dad gives him the shell of the car and tosses him the keys. And I actually had a question that maybe one of you guys know. That's, the car doesn't have an engine. What are the keys good for? Like,
The doors.
I mean, that's really it.
Yeah.
Right?
What if someone steals it?
you gotta make sure you
Yeah,
lock your doors.
How do
I
they
just
steal it if
feel
you
like-
can't drive it with no engine, though?
When you put in a new engine, though, wouldn't it have like a new set of keys? I don't know if that's a true statement or not.
You could have different ignition setups and everything that then go into an
Like,
engine, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, Steven, they changed the engine, not the doors.
Yeah, fair enough, Amanda. You're right. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot.
It's just one of those older cars that has a lock on the gas cap, so you can put the whole new engine and all that stuff, but you can't fill it up with gas unless you have dad's keys.
Oh, no, you know what, Steven? You're right. This makes sense because that's probably why he tossed him the keys so readily, because it wasn't going to run anything. It just unlocks the thing. It's not going anywhere.
Symbolic keys,
Sure,
It's
kid.
actually just
Have
key
the
back to
keys
the
to the
house.
car. See how far you get.
Sucker.
But I did like where Tyler was going. I did like the intricate little dance that Little Bow Wow had to do to get the actual bag of money out of his, Hulk car, you have to pop a secret compartment, pull out the metal bar in the secret compartment, pop out your
Subwoofer.
subwoofer,
Mhm.
thank you, pull out the stuff in the subwoofer, which apparently has not been causing any issues with any sound, which to my knowledge is not how subwoofers work, but I might not be right on that. And then get a huge bag of money. Hooray?
So-
Question mark?
The first one wasn't a secret compartment. It was just his toolkit conveniently located.
Okay. Fair
But the
enough.
rest of it, yes, absolutely.
So what does Steven know more about, cars or subwoofers?
Oh, I know less about both of those.
No, but he can tell you about the Navy story from the year before with the guy.
That I know. I don't know subwoofers. You know
And
what I know
also
about subwoofers?
referring to
I have a
people's names from
subwoofer
other
on my
movies.
TV, and I have a subwoofer on my TV, and it is perfectly sized for my daughter to stick blocks in. That is what I know about subwoofers.
Actually, that's the porthole. That's not actually the subwoofer. That's the porthole.
Portal
But
to where?
Right?
This is a
also, I
submarine.
feel like the subwoofers are usually they have screws in them. Like, I don't think you can usually pry them off. So I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, it's not even firmly attached. But
They're fake
Yes.
screws. It's just the little screw head, like hot glued on to look real.
JC,
Yeah.
we'll show the scene to our subwoofer friend there and see if he has anything to say about that.
There you go. Yeah.
All
you
right.
have a subwoofer guy?
Yeah, I got a subwoofer guy. What do you need?
Casey's got a guy.
It's 12s, 14.
I
He
know
knows a
that.
guy.
You want to go up to a 16 there, Gary?
How many watts you want your amp? Any
Needs-
tweeters? Huh?
How big do you want your box? How much flow do you want in your box?
Oh my god.
Go ahead, Nick.
I keep coming back to this lighthearted conspiracy theory that kid is actually dead. I'm trying, and
I keep
the
coming
more
back.
the more I think about it, it's actually like falling into place. The symbolic keys that are tossed from the dad is the dad accepting of his racer lifestyle, because the keys don't actually are needed for the vehicle. They just help the doors that really don't need the doors. And the money bag that Bow Wow hands him is the MacGuffin, which is just the object that advances the plot. Like, it's not, we don't really ever see the money in the bag, right? He's just like, here you go, hands him the bag, and then he goes and
He pulls
I think
like
you
a,
see
Pull
it. I
out-
he
think
pulls like a
he
stack
rifles
out.
through
for
it.
later.
He pulls a little
Okay,
stack.
all
out.
right.
There's 2 stacks.
I was stacking stacks. I was
That's
looking
all
at
that's in there,
my-
though.
Right. I was looking at my phone.
Maybe
so
some
I
old
couldn't
gym
remember-
clothes.
I couldn't remember the name of what that writing prompt was, but I searched on my phone. What's the writing term for an item that helps advance the plot? And yeah, the MacGuffin, M-A-C,
MacGuffin.
capital
MacGuffin.
G-U-F-F-I-N, an object or noun that advances the plot or the motivation for the characters. So, in Sean Boswell's Friday Night Lights' Dead Afterlife, this bag is helping him get his dad's approval and continue the story. You may proceed.
Thank you. So, I mean, now are we at the scene where he's talking to the uncle there?
What a twist!
No, we're not at
No,
this scene.
Just
We're
Just
not-
in
car
shock that we
montage,
went
we're
back to
moving car.
conspiracy theory number 2. Like, we just
No,
Nick
there-
just circled back.
There's the scene that happens where Sean goes in and talks to the uncle first, and then you have the car building montage and tuning and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he has to prompt with him first that he agrees to do the race.
Because a race solves all problems.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Not sure why the uncle agreed to that, but
Yakuza bosses are notoriously known for making deals based on their relatives' racing ability.
The outcome of a race.
I mean, clearly the uncle has some doubt in, quite a bit of doubt in his nephew. So, like, I don't think he considered it a total loss if the nephew lost.
Right.
More like a lesson to be learned.
I sort of bought like the poor speech because Sean goes to like, we've dishonored each other. We've sort of dishonored ourselves. And I think that's how that was my like shoe in to why it would be allowed, is that they dishonored their And that's why they need to like get out of this with honor. That was my bullshit explanation. Steven?
My different explanation for it is that the uncle actually doesn't really like his nephew all that much. And honestly, this just seems like a fun time for him. And he's just like, yeah, sure. If I win, yeah, I guess we take care of this issue and I don't have to deal with it anymore. If you lose, I again do not have to deal with you anymore. Win-win for me, and I get to watch
Car
it.
racing builds character.
I mean, at that point, he's already got the money bag back. So as far as his business, he's not worried about any outcomes, right?
That's not even really his money. That was the other thing. Like, it was just other people's money he was giving him. Like,
I thought he said someone was stealing from me from my business.
It's the money. Go ahead, JC.
I would say that Han was shorting Takeshi, which meant that the uncle was getting shorted, and so the uncle was short of money, and so he was giving him Twinkie's money to say, "Hey, here's money to make you whole."
And my only comment here is moving on to the racing montage part. It is a cardinal sin that this movie commits of turning a V8 American Muscle 60s era Mustang into a 4-cylinder fucking drifting car. I remember when I originally watched this movie, I was like, this is terrible. Car stuff for you, Steven, there.
Okay, fair enough. For everyone that didn't see, I just made a face and had a thumbs up because I do not know what Tyler just said.
Me either. Pretty fast cargo.
So,
That's
the car that is being used is a 60s era Mustang here, which is a favorite car of mine. Famous for like Gone in 60 Seconds, the Nicolas Cage movie, the Eleanor that he drives there.
Classic.
So, taking a car that is known for basically just raw power and speed and turning into something that drives really good downhill around corners is crazy.
They specifically like have a couple of scenes in that montage where they're taking additional weight out, because that's the whole premise of the drifting is having a smaller, lighter car be able to slide back and forth better.
Yep.
the director also talks about this, that he pitched it, and then like everyone around him said, like, this is a bad idea. Like, you're mixing two different like cultures of car buffs, and it's just sacrilege. And he's like, well, no one's ever done it before, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
That's what ties the whole series together.
But
East
kind
of
of
the West culture.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, but I mean, you could also kind of
Sacrilege.
look at it from like a character perspective of Sean taking his history and background of racing and stuff in these American muscle cars and applying then his new knowledge of drifting, the melding of worlds coming together there to be the Uber racer
Energy.
synergy.
We are all one.
Did anyone else like the epic standing on a mountaintop pose to start the race?
I said that.
What a stupid. That's so stupid.
What a stupid. Anyone else like that? What a stupid thing.
Because I think I made a comment that was his Paul Walker pose.
Yeah, no, oh, you did. You said that was the only time he's looked hot in the entire movie. I quote.
I wasn't gonna bring it up, Steven. It seemed trivial. Like, it seemed petty.
How
Yeah.
dare you?
Not everyone
Google-
can be Paul Walker. It's not his fault.
How dare you Google this movie, which has idolized and sexualized women for the last hour and a half?
I didn't see any.
Come on.
Would this movie be better if Sean had frosted tips? That's really the question we need to be asking ourselves.
I highly doubt it, honestly.
I think
I'm
DK
gonna go yes.
tips.
Yes.
He is the Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. DK
But you
needed
guys are
DK needed that, yeah, to be the true Justin Timberlake.
you
Or
guys
the
are
ramen
missing,
hair.
though, one of the key aspects of this car montage, and that is we get to see those two techie twins again that Mila just dismisses in the beginning of the movie. They come back and they're plugging their stuff back into the car, and apparently whatever they do now works. Where do they come from? Who are they? What are they doing? You don't need to know that. All you need to know is that they have a computer and it's plugged into that car.
Steven, they are competent at their jobs and they don't take the
There's a
spotlight,
job- They're
okay?
obviously not competent at their jobs because Mila dismissed them. Thank you.
And that's her choice to, but they clearly are competent because
You're
they
telling me that Mila's
melded.
incompetent?
Well, Steven, look at who she dated, okay?
Ooh, burn.
Okay. Other director's commentary thing. The guy who starts the race is an old man. Didn't notice the first time. In the credits, he's listed as Pinky. And on the second watch, I noticed he is missing like at least 4 fingers between both hands. He's missing 4 fingers.
Okay, I saw something strange about his hands. I didn't really connect the dots.
Who is this?
Apparently,
Which old
in
man?
the Japanese release, they had to digitally add back all of his fingers because it apparently was like offensive to somebody, so they had to digitally add back in his remaining fingers.
Which
That
old man is this?
I'm guessing that the actual actor didn't have.
The
one
guy
who,
who
like, calls
started
the
the
race
final
and-
race.
yeah.
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 Because I was hoping for the extremely handsome guy again, or whatever they called him.
Exceedingly, yes.
Exceedingly,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Exceedingly handsome
Exceedingly
man.
handsome.
The guy with the style and the suaveness.
It's like a bald guy in Al Capone's group, right? With like a white
Yeah.
suit. That's
Oh,
It's
okay,
black
not-
and
Black suit here.
purple shirt.
Only one guy does the white suit.
That's
Only
true.
one
It's
guy
Al
could pull
Capone
off the white
himself.
suit.
Fedora. Gotcha.
With the jaunty angled hat. Yep.
Something completely inconspicuous that does not tie you to the Japanese mob.
But then yeah, we get the drift race down DK's mountain here. Well, I will say, like, I didn't notice this before, but like when you rewatch it there, you can kind of see DK is on edge because he knows he has more to prove here with this race, so there's definitely a lot more pressure on him, at least in his facial expressions and everything, than it feels like there is for Sean.
Because he crashes up against something early on, and I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, he's clearly off his game a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I did make a note at one point, like they talked about how this is a tough road and blah blah blah, and DK's knows this road, he's the only one that can make it. But I did like there was a nice piece of cinematography where it showed just like I understood it was a tough course, I understood it wasn't easy. I did not realize that it was like dangerous, fatal. Like other than the normal car crashes we've been seeing and people have already been dying, this one was like they did a good job of like showing the vertigo a little bit of just how much
Yeah,
that I would be crawling down this mountain in a car.
and lots of shots of like the back tires just hitting the edge, and I think there's even like that sweeping shot where they follow him from one side and you see the cliffs, and then they catch back up to him on the other side. Like, yeah, a lot of very cool scenes,
Yeah,
transitions.
good cinematography work here in this part.
Well, and so maybe this is just me. Oh, I'm sorry for jumping ahead, but maybe this is just me being too needy. But I was watching this, and my first thought was, this would be such an awesome race as a one shot. That would be, I think, really cool to see because there are a lot of cuts in this drive.
I think it's a lot of cuts because it's not a realistic mountain.
See, but that would you're probably right. But if it was some sort of real, like obviously they have some sort of geography in mind there. If they could do a one shot driving down that way, that would look really it would look really freaking cool to have just a one shot of them doing this entire dangerous course the entire way down. And you can obviously digitally render that it's a one shot. They did that for was it 1914? And obviously it's a much newer film, but there are ways of making non-one shot movies into a one shot take. And I think you could have done that there and just made this a really, really cool race.
But then you don't have the interior views of shifting that car there because you got to keep shifting to go fast.
Go faster! Shift to go faster!
I had commented when we talked about these movies. This is one that I don't think I had seen this movie from start to finish. I've seen different sections of it here and there, and this nighttime race with a lot of switchbacks in it was the one thing that stuck out in my mind. And having the context for this scene, watching it now, I kind of thought the same thing, that it was very jaunty, very quick back and forth. You can't really, since it's dark, you can't really tell like where they're at in the race. It's at one point I wrote down how many turns are in this mountain, because it's like curve, whip, curve, whip, curve. Is it someone literally just like curved a hill for 20 feet and then another quick turn the other direction where you had to drift, another quick turn for like, it's either a very steep coned mountain with quick jumps back and forth, or it's just a very straight down road with a couple curves back and forth on it.
Yeah, I feel like it could have used like the Top Gun Maverick thing of like, okay, here are the steps to this course that you are going to have to work on and master over time,
Yeah.
and then you get to see the DK and Sean do it faster than anybody could have ever imagined it being done, and then like, okay, now I can follow along as the audience, especially like as dark as it is. The thing I've been pulling images from is a site that like just has movie stills, and it shows you like the color palette of each scene, and it gets to those scenes and it like reduces from like the 10 colors that it usually shows down to like 2, black and like slightly blue or black.
And that being said, it is a fun race scene. I just, everything we're saying is valid. I don't know how long the course is. I don't know what the course looks like. There are too many jump shots, and I'm not. It does a little jump scares a couple times. Like it makes you think at one point that the car has gone over the side of the road, but it actually didn't. And okay, I guess. Oh, you scared me. Haha. I don't quite get that. But then I also had one tactical note on this drive as well. If you know you're going to be butting up cars with like, these cars are going to be obviously trying to hit you to get you off of your, off this road or whatnot. Why are you not putting like spikes or something on your tires, like on the outsides of your tires, so when they try to hit you, they just go and
Just Ben-Hur style. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's not racing, Steven. That's cheating.
They are ramming the entire way down.
They have a creed,
They are playing
okay?
Battle tops. They are playing battle tops. I'm bringing that back right now.
It's not sportsmanlike.
It ruins your ability to drift if you have spikes on the side of your tires.
It's all about aerodynamics.
Yep. So, as the viewer might be able to guess there, Sean wins, gets the respect of the Yakuza uncle, and DK is banished from Japan.
Loser leaves town.
Do we
But-
another thing?
but-
Sorry, Steven's got his hand up.
Yeah, so we are skipping over the fact that DK survives the race in general. He is yeeted off a cliff and falls
dies in
almost
these
on
crashes.
Sean.
Yeah, he survives. That's crazy.
He survives. His
roll
car
cage.
does not explode.
Because I was like, oh
Sean's
man,
car
he's dead.
exploded. DK's car did not explode. This was
If it
obviously
had,
not.
that would have been it.
It
But
did-
But
Another
it
gas
fell
tank.
face down a cliff.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's got a roll cage.
And hey, we know that what's his name? Sean's going faster than 9.8 meters per second squared because he beat the car going gravity
right? There you
around
go.
the turn.
Some
I
solid
like
math
that
right there.
introduction.
That's the right speed of gravity, right, guys? I still have that number, but right? Okay.
We've
Thanks.
we've discussed this. It varies depending on the location you are at. Or
Right. Yeah. What is the potato? Space potato.
potato.
I mean, it varies based on where you are in the universe, I suppose.
I have it on my screen here somewhere.
Thank you for joining this episode of Steven's Wikipedia section.
So then we get to the end of the movie here. And it is basically like Sean is now the king of the underworld drifting scene.
He's
there.
the new DK.
He's the new DK.
Mhm. They even call him that.
And the
Yeah,
DK, the
that's-
DK is
that's
getting
kind of
challenged
there.
by an old friend of Hans. Steven?
This is also one more scene that I remember from high school, and the specific reason that I remember this in high school was that everyone in the class went when this showed up, and I was sitting there going, "What's happening? Who is this guy? Why should I care?"
Steven needs context.
Yeah, So I was the only one in my class that hadn't seen this apparently, but
So
yeah, Vin Diesel
clearly,
showed-
not a standalone film. You need to watch the previous ones, obviously.
Yeah. Vin Diesel's Dom shows up there to talk about how Han was family there and wants to see what the guy's got.
I was both thrilled to see him, but also like, really, really, really.
in terms of like throwaway actors that you could throw into other movies as a tie-in, this was okay done. I didn't see it as horribly done.
No, it's totally fine. I was more laughing at you guys in my head when I was like, you guys implied to me that these guys that there would be people I know. This does not count.
I did not imply that. I did not. I was very much trying not to spoil that no one is in this fucking movie except for Dom is in the last 30 seconds. Like, you could call this movie anything else. You could call it some dipshit cowboy drifts in Tokyo. Same fucking movie. You put Dom at the end of it, it's a Fast and the Furious movie.
Do they even call him Dominic or say Toretto when they're talking about him either? It's just like some guy that Han used to know, and then Han
Yeah, I
is
don't think they say the
talking.
name.
I don't think
They're
they
talking
said
to him,
that.
right? So they're not even. They don't even reference who he is or
It
what he is.
could be a completely different universe, and he is a completely different person. He's just this guy.
Conspiracy
if
theory.
it's
Garrett.
got if it's
Point
got
it.
Dom in it, it's a Fast and Furious movie.
Exactly. Are there any other movies where Vin Diesel drives a
so-
vehicle?
So I guess then if
Triple X.
if we're going by the rule that if it's got Dom in it, it's a Fast and Furious movie. That means Too Fast and
That
Furious.
means two,
It's
isn't it?
not a Fast and Furious movie.
Right? Or does the transitive property work? And since Paul Walker's driving a vehicle, it counts as a Fast and Furious movie.
I mean, I would go on that
It's the
line
Fast and
because
Furious extended universe.
I mean, given the way that this podcast is going to go, that's apparently what our defining characteristic for Fast and Furious movies. We're ending whenever Paul's done.
yep.
I feel like that might be the really definitive question in future movies: is Paul the main character? Is Dom what the fuck is Brian? Is Brian the main character of the series, or is Dominic Toretto the main character of the series?
That's a valid
I-
question.
That is.
I think it's Tran.
Who?
It's what?
Tran from the
Johnny
first movie.
Tran?
The first
Yeah,
movie.
Johnny
Johnny
Tran.
Tran.
Yeah.
He's the main
Steven,
character.
you don't know anybody's names. How did you pull that one out of like nowhere?
That was good. That was
Because it's
solid.
the protagonist, yeah.
He's a,
I was gonna say that I had a point about
Good
the
as a point
protagonist
of
here
view.
too. Like I was rewatching the Star Wars Episode 1 Red Letter Media review, where it just has the whole bit about like Episode 1 doesn't really have a protagonist, and I was thinking about it like Fast and Furious 1 doesn't really have a protagonist. We're following Brian Connor, who is our cop character, but we don't even know that he's a cop for half the movie, and then Dom is kind of our main follower there, and it just ends up being this situation where now in Too Fast, Too Furious, we're kind of have two protagonists, and yeah, and it feels like the third one really finally has it going.
We get a solid protagonist, yeah, from Sean there.
Mm-hmm. Just mind his own business and gets an FBI raid unjustly through his house.
I was going to mention here too, part of the reason why, and I was trying to double check where I saw this here. The reason why they got Vin Diesel to come back for this here is I had heard online that if he came back for this, there was some deal that Universal was working out with Vin Diesel where he would get more access and rights to the Chronicles of Riddick movies and have more creative control over them, which were he was a big fan of the Riddick character that he portrayed in those Chronicles of Riddick movies. So it's kind of a stipulation for him to come back. He got more creative access to the Chronicles of Riddick stuff.
a tit for tat.
Yep.
Were they produced by the same studio?
Yep. Both of them are Universal movies.
Okay.
Does Riddick drive any vehicles in the Chronicles of Riddick? Because
I
if
think he
so,
does.
Couple of
then it's a Fast
spaceships.
and
Then
Furious.
it's a Fast and
Riddick
Furious
are
movie.
Fast and Furious movies.
It's got horses. It's a western.
Exactly.
It's got Dom driving a vehicle. Fast and
Right.
Furious.
I don't have Chronicle I got family.
Ooh.
Okay, now my usual question, Steven, Amanda, which characters do you want to see again? Which characters do you think you will see again? Which characters do you not want to see again?
I actually enjoyed a lot of the characters in this movie. I thought none of them. So
Navy Dad.
yeah,
Maybe Dad.
Navy Dad
Mm.
was obviously, but a lot of the other characters were pretty good. I think the female love interest was just that, a female love interest. It wasn't really fleshed out any more than that. But I do have a little bit more sympathy for the quote unquote bad characters in this movie because there weren't any good characters. And even when it came down to the bad things happening, the bad people were stealing from other bad people. Ergo, whatever. Like you can kind of sort of root for them. And I was talking to Amanda about that. It's like in the first movie, the bad people were stealing from just regular people, and that's what made them bad. In this movie, it's bad people stealing from other bad people, and that's so whatever. I don't care about that. But that being said, favorite character in the movie is the uncle. I just loved his scene that he had in there.
Steven, you
And-
sold me on the uncle. Oh, not the uncle. Damn it. I was going to say drunk Navy Dad. Sorry.
Oh.
We're thinking two different people. You sold me on drunk Navy Dad. But anyway, you said uncle and I mixed them up. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And then I actually, unfortunately, know enough to believe that there's another character here who will be back for. I don't know how he comes back, but I've heard he comes back, and so I'm looking forward to figuring out how that happens.
That's right. Brad
And-
from Home Improvement is in Fast 5 on Onward.
It's-
Yeah.
I didn't know how he got in there, but man, comes back, baby. But no, other than that, I mean, I could see, I guess, less of Sean. He was okay, but whatever.
Yeah, most of these characters, I'm like, you're okay for a movie. I'm good. I'm done. I want to see more Dom. I liked the uncle. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but I'm assuming this is the last we're going to see of him. Wouldn't mind seeing Han, which from your guys's and from other things I've heard, I don't know. This movie doesn't exactly, I don't know if we're talking come back from the dead or if we're talking time travel or what the heck's going on with timelines. I guess I'll find out.
Alternate time stone realities.
Time
You know,
clones.
Absolutely. Alternate universes. You know, I could buy it.
You could buy time clones. Is that what we're saying? Or
We should all buy
I'm
time.
clone.
You know,
We couldn't-
I would have thought before the last season that that would not be a thing, but now I can no longer rule it out in a show that I watch. So, time clones is on the table, as is everything else.
I have missed something.
no, you
Can't
really
complain
did.
with I made up a very overcomplicated explanation how a father and son were actually the same person and they were time clones. That's
Gary
the-
had a conspiracy
Rebel.
theory very early on in a show, and it actually turned out to be correct, even though it sounded wildly off the walls. And we didn't find this out. Well, those who already knew, but the rest of us out for a long time, and we were shocked.
Anyway,
What was I saying, Nick? 'Cause
first
you should join us
season?
for the next anime podcast. So
yeah,
it's a good
first
time.
season had the Hero of the Revolution. Season 2 had time clones. And I don't know what the theme of season 3 will be.
My hatred for you and your disliking of Fast and Furious movies. Anything else, Gary, you want to add from your question pool there? Or
I'm just curious because some people how many people? Tyler, what's your official number? 2 people that show up in this movie show up in any other movie?
I think that's it. Well, no, 3. Technically 3.
3.
Okay. I know of 2,
Well-
he knows of 3, and we'll find out later.
Well,
I am riveted.
we'll
I
talk
can't wait.
off cast.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
we're not
excited
going to
for
talk in
that.
front of you children listening.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Fast and Furious 4, little Bow Wow drift.
That's right.
I just remembered here. I have my my terrible review I wrote way back when.
Here's a question.
Yes,
For y'all.
terrible reviews.
Oh, yeah.
Go
Steven's got
What,
some first.
Go ahead, Steven.
So my quick question for you is: so far we've watched 3 movies. How do you rank this one? Where does this one lie? And I will say this is number 1 in my ranking right now.
Hell yeah. Number 1 in mine as well.
Mine's 1, 2, 3 in order so far.
I'm disappointed, Amanda.
Surprisingly,
2, 3,
I enjoyed
1.
2. You said 2, 3, 1.
2, 3, 1.
Okay.
I did.
I'll reveal my full series ranking at the end of the podcast when we get that far. But I think 3 is better than 2.
Okay,
think-
but I think early on, did I explain it correctly that these 3 movies are 3 completely different genres? Like, would you agree with that, Steven and Amanda? These 3 movies are 3 different fucking genres. They're not uniform at all.
They don't seem. Yeah, no, they seem very unrelated movies.
I'd say they're
I would-
extremely lightly the same theme, but theme and genre are very different.
If Fast and Furious started in 2020, it would be like an anthology series on Showtime or something where it's just like, yep, here's this first season about Brian and Dom. Here's season 2, Brian and the guy down in Miami. And yep, season 3, they go to Tokyo. It's just like loosely collected stories around a general theme of cars, but
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
I would say 1, 2, 3 as well. I like 1 because it's the original. I like so far in our pairings. I don't know if you could say that Little Bow Wow and Sean's Friday Night Lights character are like the 2 main protagonists. It's really just Sean. I think that having someone to play off of between the 2 characters is really interesting. So I like.
There's not a good secondary character in this movie, is what you're trying to say.
Yes, precisely. I like Paul Walker's Brian and Vin Diesel's Dom characters playing off each other more so than I like Hej and Brian in 2. So that's why I'm going to say 1 is a more interesting, compelling story than 2. But for me, I guess I just don't resonate that much with 3. So I would say 1, 2, 3.
You guys are all
Podcast
horrible
listeners,
people.
you can't hear this, but Tyler's head is shaking heavily. Because I understand he disagrees with me, and that's fine. But it's more just seeing like the defeated look that people don't love 3 as much as he does.
I'm not saying you have to love 3, believe me, but like, I can respect people have different opinions than I, and they're wrong, but I can still respect that.
I'd say 1, 2, and 3 so far for me.
We haven't yet had the time. I am interested to see how this changes as we go forward, because sometimes after with reflection or rewatching it can still get re-ranked.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll quickly read off my review I did in 2016 for the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. 3 out of 5 stars. This movie is something else. The plot revolves around the underground racing scene and a kid who's not even out of high school. Lucas Black is not that great. They turn a beauty of an American muscle car, the Mustang, into a drifter, and yet there's still something there. Miles better than 2, though.
See, you just. I'm curious,
did
Tyler. What do you? Oh, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I did still enjoy the movie, honestly. I'm ranking it 1, 2, 3, but like after the first several minutes of the movie, when we had to like get past all the craziness, I did still enjoy the movie.
Tyler, so you're saying your dislike of 2 is not as it trumps your hatred of turning the car into a drifting car?
So I think you and I had this conversation, Nick, off camera there, or off podcast during one of our many times we went out to lunch. Of Too Fast, Too Furious is not a Fast and the Furious movie. It is a movie within the Fast and the Furious universe. 3 revolves around 1 and 3 revolve around a group of people who have kind of a commonality to them. They share a bond around racing and the car culture there. 2 is just this will come back and bite me possibly later on here too, but 2 is just basically two people getting together there and mending a fence and stuff like that. You could, like I think we talked about, you could take Fast and the Furious out of the title and rename it something else. The Continuing Adventures of Brian O'Connor or something like that. It doesn't need anything else in the Fast and the Furious universe, and it does not. The action, the plot, and the story and stuff like that are just nothing compared. They're not that great compared to 1 and 3.
In a rebuttal of that, I will agree with you to a point, but I also see that there's a loophole in that. 1 and 3 both have scenes where there's a gathering of people who love racing and cars just like hanging out, and it's like the people there. But also 1 is premise, the whole story is there's a heist in the middle of the whole story. That's what the jacking of the trucks is all about. And so in 2, it's the heist of stealing this thing and trying to make off with the money from the trailer park or whatever, and the heist, and the cops are chasing them. So I would say that 2 and 1 have more commonality than 1 and 3 is my rebuttal. Because the whole premise is that they're fast with furious characters. Again, some perception.
So Tyler, what's your least favorite title of a Fast and Furious movie? Too Fast, Too Furious, Fast and Furious, or Fate of the Furious?
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Of the ones we've seen thus far, Too Fast, Too Furious with the numeral 2 is the dumbest title.
Yes.
I think that the colon Tokyo Drift is the dumbest title.
If you verbalize colon when you read it, yes, then colon takes the cake for the dumbest title.
I want to point out at least that the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift has the best theme song, 100%. You get Too Fast, Too Furious, or you can go do 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 Tokyo. That's there. That's what it is right there.
Steven, I did
I
not
just
notice
want that clip to be the background for this.
of Steven. Steven, you're probably going to be upset about this and you're probably going to make me listen to it, but I honestly did not catch whatever this theme song is.
You fool. You
Yeah,
fool.
I know.
I
You're
am
gonna-
now going to play this every time we get in the car.
Oh, save me, please.
Steven's gonna go find the soundtrack to Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, and it's always gonna be in the CD player.
I have a question. Gary has commented a couple times about how these movies have different genres, and I don't know if he means themes or genres, but what would you classify these 3 movies that we've seen thus far as? 'Cause I'm thinking, like, in my head, like, what they are, like, what would you list them as? Gary's got his hand up.
3 is a fish out of water tale. 2 is a buddy cop movie. That's all I
What do
got.
you mean? What do you mean, fish out of water? Like, he comes to love the thing that he thought was so different, or he survives despite his settings?
Maybe fish out of water is not the right analogy. They drop what is an American bro in Japan, and it's sort of this culture shock thing, and then he has to like retune his skills as a driver in a completely different culture of drifting. Like that is, I don't know, maybe other people disagree, but that is like the primary theme, the signpost of it is like he's somebody who grew up with American muscle cars and straight line like drag racing, and he has to learn drifting and corners and like and all the culture shock stuff. Like that's what this movie is to me. Steven?
I'll let Steven go next. Maybe I misspoke how what I was trying to get at. I was thinking like you said genres. I was thinking like action, suspense, thriller. Like that's kind of like what you said to me is the plot or the premise of the movie.
Well, I don't know. Those can also be kind of how the movie feels. Because my thoughts were a coming of age movie, a
Yeah.
this is this one. Number 3 is coming of age movie. Number 2 is a heist movie. Number 1 is basically an undercover cop movie.
No, I was right on it with that. I was like, action, action, action. There you go. All done. I did have one thought. Recently, actually, Stephen and I were recently buying a vehicle, and when we were looking online at reviews and all that whatnot, all the ridiculous research that needed to be done, one of the things about the car that we were picked was this was not necessarily rated as a fun car to drive. And I just laughed thinking of these movies because I was like, well, I have a toddler. I don't need something I can go street racing with. I need very opposite. So I realized in that moment that I am literally looking for the opposite of the Fast and Furious cars.
You two need to ask the next time you speak to a salesperson, how's the drift ability with this car? And just see what they say.
If I'd like to drift this,
What's the 0 to 60 time on this vehicle?
Right?
is this a 10-second car?
Is this a 10-second car?
Right.
I hope I want. Gosh, if I don't think I'll ever need to go minivan shopping, but if I ever do, I'll be able to find myself in that situation. It's like just a 10-second car.
Where's a good spot to
Nick,
put the
Nick, I
Nostanks?
believe, is probably going to be before me to get a minivan, or do you already have one?
We have one. I have 3 kids, Gary.
You can strap
course not
one
a
of them to the
minivan.
roof, I think.
Yeah,
You
but it's really
could.
tedious to do every single time. Do you know how many times you have to
Not
jump in and out of the car? That's the most inconvenient thing about with the toddler right now. The only convenient thing about her being a baby was I could just pop that car seat in the car, click, you're done. Now you have to like take the time to walk them out there and let them climb in the car seat and strap them in. It takes forever.
Gary, you'll find out you can do a lot of things, whatever you want to with your kids. It's the government and the state that has other opinions.
Down with the
How I treat
government.
How I treat my kids.
I want my
is none of the
freedom.
government's business.
Yeah, I want my
Oh
freedom.
my.
This is
Anyhow,
America. I can do whatever I want with my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably go 1 as a mostly for that last scene with the truckers. I would say 1 is an action movie as well. 2 is definitely the buddy cop comedy romance type movie, and 3 for me is a suspense movie. I think the whole premise of what's the secret deal going on, like what is Han really up to? Is the Yakuza uncle gonna off somebody at the end of this? Is Takeshi gonna off somebody at the end of this? I think 3 is kind of a suspense thriller for me.
I feel like the suspensefulness is if you consider Takeshi to actually be a murderer, or if you consider him just to be a tough guy.
I thought though for the whole
Just a
thing he was
murderer
like a
anyway.
red herring. I didn't think he was super scary. I thought that he's, he plays the antagonist to Sean's character as the protagonist, but he's not really intimidating. Like what Steven highlighted, when the uncle comes into play, he's kind of like the uh-oh. Because they even said from the beginning, Han says his uncle's Yakuza, he's not Yakuza. So we get this notice of there's some big bad guy in the wings, and that's really it.
Do you think a better written bad guy would have improved it, or do you think he was the perfect level of red herring?
Keshi plays the role he plays as the young, 18, 20-year-old, like, Drift King DK character. I think he plays that role fine. If you had a better written character who's like some dude who's, heaven knows why he's hanging around with a bunch of high schoolers in a parking garage practicing drifting, but some like more terrifying dude who is actually Yakuza, who is just watching these kids have fun, but is, the devil in disguise, I think that would be a very terrifying thing.
If he has rats and buckets, if he travels to the club with a rat, a bucket.
Right? Yes. I mean, truthfully, I I think that the bad guy, what's his name in 2? Bad guy.
I don't remember. I want to say
Verone?
like Sereno or something.
Verone? Carter Verone?
Yeah.
Something.
Carter. I think
It-
Carter sounds right.
I think Carter is scarier because we actually see him torture a dude, and we see even the Yakuza boss guy. It's terrifying because it's implied he would murder you, and like Steven said, murder your family. But I mean, we actually see Carter not even like murder. I mean, murder is boom, done with a gun. Like he's got a rat. Like how messed up is that, right? I think that he's a more sadistic type villain. So to me, that's a little bit more scary. And I mean, rather than we implying he'll murder your family, Carter Verone says that, right? He's like, my rat will come visit your wife and your kids. So to me, that's a little bit more scary because it's actually the realm of possibilities. He flat out says he'll do that. I think he's a more terrifying bad guy. It makes the story more compelling. It's just offset by the ridiculousness of the buddy cop bromance.
Steven, would this movie be better with harpoons?
Everything's better with harpoons.
No,
I was gonna say, is
but I
that the
was-
general?
But I was depressed there was not a single katana in this entire movie.
The director did say he had to tone some like very like realistic things down because it would seem very cartoonish if you weren't prepared for like the weird intricacies of Tokyo. Like not having
mean-
too many people in like Little Bo Peep costumes in the background or
Hello Kitty everywhere.
Hello Kitty everywhere.
Yeah.
But I wanted to dial up the realism.
With the
a lot
katana.
with it. Yeah.
I could see that. I guess I feel like the katana would have actually made this movie better. I can't disagree with that.
If the uncle walked around with just like a katana he always kept sheathed, and like once or twice we see him like threaten to pull it out, that would really make him much more terrifying to me. Again, I know nothing about the Yakuza other than what I've seen in movies, but I mean that's the whole premise, right? Is that their prime bosses mostly have katanas and giant gold-plated 45s.
I think that's a Hollywood stereotype there, Nick, but
You
I
mean
still
the Fast
stand
and
strong
Furious
with
movies
Steven's
are-
opinion. This movie would be better with a katana.
Fast and Furious movies don't fall into Hollywood stereotypes? What?
Ah.
okay. Anything else we'd want to cover there? Nothing.
I
Now, I will briefly mention here too. I had messaged JC towards the end of our second podcast about that scene at the end with Dom and Sean racing there, because I had actually thought that was an end credits scene, like an after the credits scene there. That was, but no, that was still actually part of the movie. So
A bit more prominent.
there was no end credit scene for this movie.
True.
Yeah.
I did wait around to the end to verify that.
Yeah, I
Yes.
did too.
So
I
then,
did not.
Next time here, we will be watching the fourth Fast and the Furious movie here, just titled Fast and Furious. And
Good
Not
luck
confusing
Googling
at all.
that.
Not confusing at all.
yeah. The fourth one, they drop down a bunch of unnecessary words here. Why say a lot of words and few words work best? You know.
Few
I
words
feel like
to
they
describe.
learned Tokyo Drift is not a title that people want to put on their marquee. Like,
It was just
we just want another Fast and Furious.
It's just too
Yeah,
long.
too long.
Yep. All right. I suppose that'll then do it for us here at the Rewatch Podcast. We want to thank everybody for listening. Until next time.
Bye.
Three Fast, Three Furious, otherwise known as Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, follows Sean, a character never seen before in this universe and possibly never to be seen again. Movie starts with a street race between him and the prom king, Clay. The property damage was so bad that he was forced to leave town. The only solution, stay with his dad in Japan. First friend he makes in Japan, Twinkie. Twinkie introduces him to street racing in Japan. At Street Race, he challenges the head honcho. With no car, he has to borrow from a stranger, Han. He loses very badly, can't make it out of the parking ramp. He learns that cars are so fast that the police do not chase. He learns that the only way to win is to drift. Sean and Han get into some trouble. Han dies in an explosion. Sean decides to race the big bad guy. Loser has to leave town. Blah, 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 blah. Sean wins the race. Finally, Dom appears at the end as the only proof that this movie is related. Or is it just part of the evil alternate universe?